Yes.
Then he left his ex high and dry.
I had to end up busting the door open because the dog was in there. She had the babies already.
You can't leave somebody else to clean up your mess.
Judge Judy.
You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Scheindlin. This is Judge Judy.
Kiara Spencer is suing her former live-in boyfriend, Angel Carrillo, for unpaid rent and for damage to their apartment caused by his dog.
Order. All rise. This is case number 246 on the calendar in the matter of Spencer versus Carrillo.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Judge Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated.
Ms. Spencer, the defendant was your boyfriend. It is your claim that he owes you some money for rent.
Yes.
I have some preliminary questions for you. In what month and year did you sign this lease with Mr. Carrillo?
February 1st, 2015.
And where had you been living prior to that?
An apartment, it's called the Santa Fe Apartments.
With whom?
Myself.
How long did you live in the Santa Fe Apartments?
For 15 months.
And what was your rent in the Santa Fe Apartments?
$700.
And Mr. Carrillo, where did you stay prior to signing this lease in February?
My grandfather,
How old are you?
37.
When was the last time you had a place of your own?
I was living in New York before I moved out here,
In what year?
2004.
So since 2004, you've been living with relatives?
Yes.
And you're still living there?
No.
Who are you living with now?
Now I'm staying with a friend.
Do you work?
No.
Why?
I currently go to school right now. I'm a student.
Who supports you?
Right now, I'm just, I'm trying to find work. I'm in the process of looking for work.
Miss Spencer says that when you were boyfriend and girlfriend and signed this lease in February of 2015, shortly thereafter you lost your job. So that would have been in March. Have you worked since March?
No, I decided to go to school full time.
Oh, that's nice. So I'm asking you, who supports you at age 37?
Right now, I'm doing it myself. I'm just got a friend that's helping me.
What friend is helping you?
A friend of mine that I've known since 2004, since I moved out here.
Helping you how?
Financially, with a shelter over my head.
So you have a roof over your head?
Yes.
Money to eat, food, clothes. Who's supporting you?
Well, right now, nobody's supporting me. I'm trying to do it on my own. I'm in the verge of getting work right now as we speak.
Now, I want you to 15. You signed a lease with Miss Spencer.
Yes, I did.
She was your girlfriend at the time.
Yes.
Where were you working in February of 2015?
I was working for a water restoration company.
How long did you work for them?
For 5 years.
So you had a work history.
Yes, I do.
Great. And how much money were you earning?
Dependent, because it's a 24/7 response. So whenever they called us out, but for the most part, I did work full time, so I was making like $12 an hour.
What happened to that job?
They changed the people that was there, the administration and stuff, and that's when they let everybody go.
And you actually have not worked since.
Yes.
What was your share of the rent in the apartment that you rented with Miss Spencer?
It was $1,200 a month, so I was supposed to be paying split down the middle, $600.
Now, based upon what I'm surmising, you and Miss Spencer had some sort of a falling out.
Yes.
And this apartment was a one-bedroom apartment or two?
It was actually 3.
Why did you need a 3-bedroom apartment?
When we moved in, this was me trying to show my dad, who is the guardian of my daughter right now, that I was able to meet the requirements and I was stable enough, to get my daughter back, because that's what was going to happen eventually. She was going to take one of the rooms because she was going to move in with us.
How old is she?
7 years old.
That's 2 bedrooms. Who was going to be in the third?
Planned nothing about that yet at that time.
Okay. Tell me what happened with Miss Spencer after you moved in together.
Well, after we moved in together, weeks after, I ended up losing my job, and I just felt like everything went downhill after that. Like, we got into a fallout, we broke up.
About what?
The money situation, financial situation. And we had a fallout. We ended up breaking up. She
When?
kicked 2 to 3 weeks after we moved in, after we signed the lease.
So you had an argument?
Yes.
And what was said about the apartment?
Well, we got into the argument, and I told her how I felt, and in turn, she wanted to kick me out.
Not wanted to. What did she say to you?
She told me, get out, and she'll eventually find somebody to cover the costs.
And did you move out that day?
No, not exactly that day, like the very next day.
When was the next time Miss Spencer contacted you?
Well, she didn't never contact me. I heard through a friend that knew both of us, and he told me that I needed to get a hold of her because my dog was tearing up the room and causing damages to the house.
So when you left your dog?
Yes, I did.
Why?
My dog was pregnant at the time.
Yeah.
And I just couldn't see myself leaving to go nowhere with a dog in my hand.
When you left the dog?
Well, no, I didn't, but she obviously knew that the dog was there.
Don't tell me what she knew. You mean you packed up your bag and you just left?
Yes.
How long have you had this dog?
I've had her for about a year and a half prior to the lease.
How did the dog get pregnant? Was this a planned pregnancy? This is a very small dog.
No, it wasn't planned. My dog tend to go out into the backyard, and she would slip under the gate and go into the neighborhood, so I'm thinking that's how that happened.
What kind of dog was it?
A Chihuahua.
I don't know if you're responsible enough to take care of anybody else, sir, other than yourself.
Right.
You have to give that some serious thought.
Right.
Whether you can take care of anybody but you. Now, Miss Spencer, I want you to tell me the discussion that you had with Mr. Carrillo when he left.
Before he left, we was arguing about him needing to find another job. He said he had a job lined up. It never happened. I never seen anything. So I'm like, you need to find a job. We kept arguing about it. He said I look at him different. And one day he left, said he was going to his friend's house. He never came back. He never told me. I never kicked him out, ever. I never, ever kicked him out. I wouldn't kick him out knowing I need help. Knowing that I need help there. I wouldn't just kick him out. So he just left. He never came back.
All right. Now, when did you start advertising for a roommate?
February, like March, actually. No.
And you haven't been able to find anything?
No, because we live so far. There's no bus lines. It's like in the middle of nowhere. There's not even no more houses after us.
Now, you have a roommate that's coming, allegedly. Who is that roommate?
My friend Tiffany. She knew I was looking.
Don't tell me what she knew.
Okay.
And when did she move in?
She's going to move in tomorrow.
Okay. Now, you lost your job in February or March?
Close to March, like the last week in February.
Did you pay March's rent?
No, I didn't.
You can't just walk out on your responsibility. And I have a feeling, although I'm usually not sympathetic about these kinds of cases, because if you sign a lease with somebody that you're not married to and that you don't have a commitment with and that you clearly don't know very well, you run the risk of having to foot the rent by yourself. But in this case, I actually believe you that he had had enough of the situation, and he had so much enough of the situation that he left his dog that he hadn't had for an hour, that he had for a while. You got rid of the dog?
Yeah, it was 2 weeks later. He left the door locked when he left, so I thought he was coming back, and I didn't want to go in his room, in the room the dog was at, but I had to end up busting the door open because the dog was in there. She was pregnant. She had the babies already. She had the babies on the carpet. It was really disgusting. I had to bust the door open because she was hungry, and she kept banging.
And then what happened to the dog?
I had to take because the dog was too loud and barking all the time.
Well, that doesn't sound like something that happened over a one-day period.
I know, it was like 2 weeks.
You mean you left the dog in the locked room for 2 weeks?
Yeah, I was feeding it under the door. I didn't know what to do.
What do you mean you didn't know what to do? You lived with him for a month. What did you do with the dog for the month that you were living there with him?
He took care of the dog. I never took care of the dog. I work and I go to school. I don't have time to take care of the dog. I was always gone.
Who came and got the dog?
I had to bust open the door. The door was locked. I had to bust it.
That's what I heard.
And then I had to take the dogs to the pound myself.
With the puppies?
Mm-hmm.
How many puppies did she have?
3. I think one had died or something.
Mr. Carrillo, it's very nice for a 37-year-old man to say, I think I'm going to be a full-time student. With no source of income. It's very nice. But you can't leave somebody else to clean up your mess. You owe her $4,800. Judgment for the plaintiff, that's all.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I was kicked out. You know, I didn't leave.
I didn't kick him out. I told him he got to get a job, and he kicked himself out.
Told me I had to get out because she seen
I don't have no kids. I don't have no responsibility.
that I wasn't gonna pay no rent.
I'm not going to take care of nobody's dog, nobody nothing.
I'm never gonna move with nobody else.
First, I'm going to worry about me first, and if I find a man, he going to have something.
I'm on my own and stay to myself.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Buhite, Evenson, Palkovich versus Rusko. Step forward.
Diane Buhite, Carolyn Kitty Evenson, and Judy Palkovich are suing their brother, Harvey Dick Rusko, and his wife, Julie, for the return of their deceased parents' property, attorney fees, and harassment.
You three ladies are sisters, and this is your brother?
Yes.
Who are you?
Yes. Sister-in-law.
Your sister-in-law. I'd like you to sit down. Were there 4 siblings?
No, there was 9 of us.
Where are the rest of them?
My twin passed away, and 3 of my sisters were not able to make it.
So you are the only 3 who chose to participate in this lawsuit. Is that correct?
Yes, we have 1 other brother, though.
And he's not here either.
Right. No.
So this is what this is about. Not an unusual story, although I know that you probably think it's unusual. Your parents died. Your mother died first. Subsequently, in a short time thereafter, your father passed away. This is your brother, and according to you, you feel as if your brother has property or sold property that belonged to your parents that rightfully should have been yours or shared with you. And you also allege that your brother manipulated your elderly parents to give you away from them. Is that right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
She wanted us to be there to care for her.
Well, how do I know that? Any of you go to court and request to be made guardian because she was unable to take care of herself? The answer is either yes or no.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Diane Buchheit, Carolyn Kitty Evenson, and Judy Palkovich claim their brother, Harvey Dick Rusko, owes for the return of their deceased parents' property, attorney fees, and harassment.
Now, when did your mother pass away?
June 6, 2012.
And prior to that, when did you see your mother, 3 of you?
We seen her occasionally. I live over
Just a
200 miles away.
Well, let's start with each of you. When did you see your mother prior to June the 6th, 2012?
I got to see her 20 minutes the day before she died.
And prior to that?
We were put on a 20-minute schedule.
Okay, so you were able to see her?
Yes.
Was that in the hospital?
No, she was at home.
So you did, in fact, see your mother before she died?
Yes.
And what about you? When did you see your mother?
Yes, I was on a 20-minute schedule too every day.
And you?
Same thing, 20 minutes.
Same thing.
She wanted us to be there to care for her.
Well, how do I know that?
Well, my brother took over.
Oh, who cares whether your brother took over? This is a lawsuit,
Right.
and your mother is dead. How am I going to ascertain that your mother wanted you to be her caregivers, and despite that, and I don't even know if that would be an actionable claim against your brother, even if he did cause a separation between you and your mother, you're grown-up ladies. Did your mother have a guardian appointed for her?
Yes, we had an attorney.
No, not an attorney. I said that she have a guardian appointed for her because she was unable to take care of her own business. Did any
was
of you
appointed a
or your
guardian.
siblings go to court and request to be made guardian of your mother because she was unable to take care of herself?
She had a
The
guardian.
answer is either yes or no.
She had a guardian.
Who did?
Yes.
Who? Raise your hand.
It was appointed by an attorney that we hired,
Who was?
the guardian.
So that you hired an attorney, the court granted the application to have a guardian appointed, and what happened?
My brother and his wife manipulated the guardian, and we were not even allowed to be with our mom
Listen,
at all.
You have no case. So far as I see, you have no case with regard to anything about your mother. Now, you want to move forward with your father? Your father died when?
December 8, 2012.
So with a claim, what do you think a court can do for you with regard to your father?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Whatever property your parents had, how they disposed of it was their prerogative.
They didn't dispose of it, he did.
Your father was still alive when the property was sold. Is that correct?
Yes, it is, but he intimidated our father.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Diane Buchheit, Carolyn Kitty Evenson, and Judy Palkovich claim their brother, Harvey Dick Rusko, owes for the return of their deceased parents' property, attorney fees, and harassment.
What do you think a court can do for you with regard to your father?
My claim is that my brother manipulated my father, and my father was very abusive and controlling when us girls grew up. Us girls were always there for my dad, my parents.
It's not that I don't care. It's that the courts don't care about these complaints.
We
These
feel
are things
that-
these things are things that you take care of during the lifetime of your mother and your father. These are not things that you wait until after they're gone and complain that you weren't in their lives enough, your brother was more involved with them than you were, and that he manipulated them, and because he manipulated them, you didn't get this and you didn't get that. Courts aren't here to hear you complain.
Here is because we were falsely accused, and he was trying to get a restraining order and harassment order against us.
We have
I
proof.
read, just a second. I read your complaint. Your mother filed for a restraining order against you?
No. My brother said he was power of attorney, took my parents into, filed a restraining order
Who
against
filed
me.
the affidavit?
My parents.
Right.
With the
Just a second. Your parents did. And the only people that can, at this point, say that was false and I was manipulated are your parents. And I sadly cannot query them about that. I can't ask them any questions about that. You had the right to appeal. If you chose to appeal, you could have...
I did appeal.
And what happened?
It was denied. I had to hire an attorney to get it dropped.
Good. So you appealed and it was denied, and then you hired an attorney and you got it dropped. That's the end of it.
That was only a month before my mom passed away.
That's the end of it. For the courts. Period. Over. The end. What else? Come on. Is there anything else? I have other things to do today.
The false accusations that were made.
You're not listening. I don't know whether they're false or not. Your parents are dead. I can't ask them.
No, but our
And I
brother
would
made
strongly
false.
suggest that the three of you get on with your lives.
Judge Judy continues. Are you in a family dispute? Go to judgejudy.com, like us on Facebook, and follow us on Twitter.
Your parents are gone. There's nothing that you can do anymore to repair any damage that might have been done, maybe by your brother, maybe not. But there's nothing that you can do anymore with regard to healing any wounds that exists with regard to your parents.
But it's okay for him to have all of our pictures and photo albums. We weren't even allowed to go to the funeral.
Listen
we
to
were
me.
told
I can't
by a
help
stranger
you.
that our parents passed
I can't help
away.
you with regard to that. There's no cause of action for that. Courts cannot deal with every social issue that rises within a family.
So
You
it's
have
okay
no...
for him to have all of our parents' stuff and we're not allowed to have anything.
No, it's not okay if that's not what your parents wanted. But that's not for a small claims court to decide. That's for a surrogate court to decide the disposition of personal property of people who die. Whatever property your parents had, they had. And how they disposed of it was their prerogative.
They didn't dispose of it. He did.
Not he. Your father was still alive, according to what I read, when the property was sold. Your father was still alive. Is that correct?
Yes, it is, but he intimidated our father.
Listen, you're not paying careful attention to me. Put a period and move on. None of the three of you are spring chickens to live. Either you can live the rest of your life involved in litigation, or you can put a period and say, you know what? I did the best I could with my parents. My brother made it difficult, but they're gone, and I tried my best to be good daughters, and I probably will learn a lesson or two. But you can't abuse the courts. That's not what we're here for. And if you don't understand what I said, I suggest that the next effort that you expend is with a good therapist. Thank you. Goodbye.
That's what we've all needed for a long time.
Parties are excused and they step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
She kung fu kicked me in the gut.
Did you kick him?
At the time, I was not wearing shoes.
I don't care whether you were wearing shoes, galoshes, or steel-tipped boots.
Judge Judy.
No, we've never seen a will. We've never seen... He always
Just tried to honor my parents and what they wished. Their wishes were...
flashed saying he had power of attorney. We never seen any power of attorney papers.
When they give me power of attorney to honor my mother and father.
The reason that they all of a sudden jumped in
They've been that way for years. They're greedy.
and took over was because my father came into a lot of money before he died.
They try to take
Sure that my mother was dead
nothing. My parents raised 9 kids on a poor salary.
before my father because my mother might have shared something with us.
And helped us all he could.
And the thing is, we didn't want anything.
Yeah, it comes out in the end.
We would have taken care of our parents for free.
The truth. God knows the truth, and sooner or later, everybody else will know the truth.
I
I've been driving 30 years. It's very unprofessional, in my opinion, not to take care of your driver.
A new trucking business owner in the hot seat.
Mr. Millard is driving the truck, and the truck breaks down. At that time, Mr. Millard quit.
After he hauls this trucker into court.
He asked me by text, and I told him that I would not be paying him for downtime.
He was working your business. Why wouldn't you pay him? Well, then I wouldn't work for you either.
Judge Judy.
You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Scheindlin. This is Judge Judy.
Trucking company owner Brent Minnick is suing his former employee, Clark Millard, for a truck recovery fee, lost income, and stolen property.
Order. All rise.
That's case number 101 on the calendar in the matter of Minnick versus Millard.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Judge Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Sir, have a seat.
Mr. Minnick, what do you do for a living, sir?
I have a trucking company, Your Honor.
Other than the trucking company, what do you do?
I have an asset recovery business as well as rental properties.
How long have you been in the asset recovery business?
I've had that company for about 8 years.
And how many years have you had the trucking company?
About 9 months, just short of a year.
So you're new to the trucking business?
Yes.
And you started the trucking business with one truck?
Yes, Your Honor.
How large is that truck?
It is a 75-foot truck. From the front of the truck to the tail, it's 40 tons.
Now, Mr. Minnick, just for my own curiosity, for someone who's in the asset recovery business, you didn't get this truck through an asset recovery. You purchased it. Or did you get it through a recovery?
I did not, no.
You purchased it?
Yes.
How much was it?
It was $25,000, Your Honor.
So it's an old truck?
Yes, it's a little bit older.
How old is a little bit older?
The truck
Everything is relative, Mr. Minnick. How old is a little bit older?
The truck is a 1994.
Very old. Not as old as me, but old. And the defendant was your driver?
That's correct, Your Honor.
Had he been your driver since you got the truck?
No, he had not.
How long had he been your driver?
I started with him as my driver in March, and he worked with me until...
Before him?
Just one, Your Honor.
And what happened to that driver?
That driver, because of my insurance requirements, let's
try not to mince words. Your insurance wouldn't insure the truck with that driver.
My insurance required that driver live within 300 miles of our home
So
base.
your insurance company wouldn't insure the truck with that driver?
Yes, Your Honor.
So this is what happened. Mr. Millard, who is in your employ, is driving the truck, and the truck breaks down. According to you, at that time, Mr. Millard quit, causing you all kinds of grief and having to go and retrieve the truck. And you want him to be responsible for all the expenses that you had in retrieving the truck. That's what your case is about.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, Mr. Millard, you don't actually say this in your answer, but I am superimposing this on the facts. It says, I've been a truck driver forever. The truck broke down. I brought it to a mechanic, and he doesn't say it, but I now know it's a 1994 truck. It's almost a quarter of a century old. It was going to take some time to fix it. I called Mr. Minnick. I told him, but I said, you know, I'll stay with the truck, but I got to get paid for the time that I'm here. And Mr. Minnick says, I don't pay for you when you're not driving. So he quit, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And the truck was in the mechanic's shop for how long?
It was in the mechanic's shop for...
You paid the driver to retrieve the truck and pay the mechanic.
Yes, Your Honor.
And how much did your company pay the mechanic?
That bill to that mechanic was $388, and there were additional bills for metal fabrication that was not included in the bill. Total between the two was probably $800.
So there was clearly something wrong with the truck.
Yes, there was, Your Honor.
Now, Mr. Minnick, when Mr. Millard called you and told you that the truck had broken down, did you have a discussion about Mr. Millard getting paid for the days that the truck was going to be down?
No, we did not, Your Honor.
Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
So why did you quit?
Well, at the time it broke, I was still unloading cars, and they were trying to get me to load more cars to get it back up, to get it fixed properly. What had happened is the top rack of the trailer broke off. So I was sitting with 3 full-size Chevy pickup trucks on top, just ready to fall off the truck. We did get help down to get it temporarily repaired, but it needed new post. So I didn't load no more cars. I said, I ain't loading anymore. Let's go up and see if we can get it fixed. He has paid me for other downtime. When I first originally started working for him, it was 1 week before I could even drive the truck.
I'm talking about this time. I want to know why you quit.
Well, I asked him after a day of downtime, you know, if he was going to pay me, and he said no. And he
did you have a...
didn't want to discuss it. I've been driving 30 years. It's very unprofessional, in my opinion, not to take care of your driver.
But you did have the discussion about being paid for your downtime.
Yeah.
That's what I'm asking you.
Yes, ma'am.
You don't remember that, Mr. Minnick?
We did not have an actual discussion by phone. He asked me by text, and I told him that I would not be paying him for downtime.
But you did communicate with him.
Absolutely.
Well, why would you not think that he was supposed to be on the clock while the truck was being repaired?
Because if he is home in his hometown and the truck is being worked on, if he's home and he wants time off, then I said, I'm not going to pay you if you're requesting for time off.
He wanted to work. Your truck didn't work.
He did not want to work. I have proof that he did not want to work.
Just a second. Well, what was he supposed to work on if you only have one truck?
The truck was ready to go Saturday afternoon, and I asked him if he was ready to load, and he said yes. And then he told me, no, I want some time off.
Different story. Just a second. So the truck was down for 2.5 days. Saturday afternoon, what date?
On the 23rd of April, I believe.
So on the 23rd of April, the truck had been down for 2 days.
That's correct, Your Honor.
And were you planning on paying him for those 2 days?
Not because he was home, no.
Well, then I wouldn't work for you either. He started the job where?
He started the job in Fort Wayne, Indiana.
In Indiana. Is that where he picked up the truck?
Yes.
And
outside of Lexington, Kentucky.
And what was his final destination?
Lexington, Kentucky, for the repairs and also to be home for a few days.
You mean the final destination for those trucks that were on top was Lexington, Kentucky, where he lives? He picked up the trucks in Indiana. Where was he supposed to drop off the cargo of the truck?
I can look. I believe it's Hazard, Kentucky.
Hazard, Kentucky.
I believe it's Hazard, Kentucky.
So not Lexington?
No, not immediately Lexington. No.
Not Lexington?
No,
the truck broke down in Lexington?
It did not break down in Lexington. It broke down while he was on the road, and in our communication, he said, I'm going to head home. I said, okay, I'll find a repair shop close to your home to get the truck fixed. He said, that's fine. Take it to this shop. I worked with him.
So he got you a shop where the truck broke down. I got it. Mr. Minnick, you haven't been in the business long enough, because if he's starting in Los Angeles and his final destination is in New York, and he's driving cross country, and he happens to live, his home base is here, closer to New York, but the truck breaks down. He says, you know what? I know some people, before we get soaked, I can get the truck to around where I live to get it fixed, knowing that the ultimate destination is not Indiana and not Lexington, Kentucky, where he lives. Ultimate destination is someplace else. And the truck is now down. Fortunately, he's in his hometown, so he doesn't have expenses for hotel, probably per diem food or anything else. But he says, while the truck that I'm supposed to take to New York is being fixed, I intend to be paid, because that's what my deal was. It's not my fault that the 1994 truck broke down. Why do you think he quit?
Excuse me, Your Honor. The part of that is he was empty when the truck was home. So he did not have an end destination. He was to take the truck home, have a couple days off, and then go out on the next run.
Well, show me, sir, that's not what Mr. Millard tells me, that he was supposed to be home for a few days off. When he left Indiana, show me that that was the agreement that the two of you had, that he was going to leave Indiana, going to go home with your truck for a few days, and then bring it someplace else. Show me.
Okay. This right here, Your Honor, is the dispatch sheet. It shows that the load was picked up in Carlton, Michigan, and it was going to Hazard, Kentucky as a final destination.
Right. So?
And then once that load was complete, he was empty, and to go home with the truck for a few days off.
It says that.
I have the text that he says he wanted.
Would you just show me
off.
here that it says that he's going home with your truck for a few days off?
I have it. I have it by text, Your Honor.
That's all I want to see. Now, you picked up the load while he's looking at that, Mr. Millard, on the 18th of April?
Yes, ma'am.
And on what date did you have an empty truck?
Be the 19th, I believe.
And on what date did the truck break down?
It was on the 19th. I was in the middle of delivery when it broke.
And you notified him immediately?
Yes, ma'am.
But you managed to get it fixed?
Yeah, I got a crane guy to come down and help me get the truck unloaded, and they wanted me to go pick another load up afterwards.
Just a second. And on what date did you get to Lexington?
20th.
Okay.
I have the text, Your Honor.
I'd like to see it.
And the text just prior to that.
I'm reading all the text just prior to that.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Slavery is over. He doesn't have to work for you. You don't have a contract with him. He didn't like the way you were doing business, so he quit. He quit. So why would you think that he's responsible to pay the costs of you retrieving your truck?
And later today,
Coast Guard confiscated the boat because they said it is.
Would have contacted me wondering why I'm selling this lady a stolen boat.
Do you have any proof of that?
That it was confiscated?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to see that.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Trucking company owner Brent Minnick says his former driver, Clark Millard, abandoned his truck on a job. Clark is countersuing for unpaid wages.
Now, easy. He says, first of all, you took Sunday because your grandson wanted you to watch him play a ball game.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the truck was ready on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't expect him to pay you on Sunday.
No, ma'am. I just asked for my time down.
Okay, because the truck was ready Saturday afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right?
As far as I know, yes, ma'am.
So what days did you want him to pay you for?
The 19th, 20th, 21st, and 22nd.
Well, the 19th you were working, so he paid you.
Well, the truck broke, and I had another load to pick up.
Just a minute, the 19th? Did you pick up the other load?
No.
No, just a second. Did he pay you for the 19th?
Yes, ma'am.
And the 20th is when you brought the truck in to be fixed.
Correct.
So far, we're in agreement with that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, ma'am.
And did you get paid for the 20th?
No, ma'am.
Why not? He was driving your truck.
He delivered the truck on the 19th, and at time of delivery, it was at the shop, so why would he?
He says that he delivered the truck on the 20th.
I picked up the steel to repair the truck on the 20th.
He was working your business. Why wouldn't you pay him?
I believe that he delivered it late the evening prior. Once it was delivered at the shop, his work was done. He could go home.
Well, that's not true unless if he did something on the 20th with regard to your property.
He didn't work on the truck, Your Honor.
He doesn't have to work on the truck. He picked something up for the truck, some steel for the truck. That's what he just said.
Okay.
Is that true?
That's news to me that he ran things for the truck.
Where did you get it?
I picked up the steel at the steel warehouse in Lexington and took it to the machine shop. From the machine shop over to the shop where I had my mechanics fix the truck for him.
That was the 20th.
Be on the 20th.
And you didn't pay him?
I did not pay him for running that part, no.
Well, you have to. He's not your friend. Why would you not pay him for the 20th? Even if we're not talking downtime, he was still involved in your business. I mean, your lawsuit is ridiculous, actually. It's actually ludicrous because, you know, slavery is over. He doesn't have to work for you. You don't have a contract with him. He didn't like the way you were doing business, so he quit. He quit. And according to you, he wasn't working for you. According to you, he wasn't on the clock, right? You didn't pay him on the 20th, you didn't pay him on the 21st, and you didn't pay him on the 27th. So he wasn't working for you. So why would you think that he's responsible to pay the costs of you retrieving your truck?
And later today,
I would like to look at her title because I have a list here from DMV of things that I've registered.
I don't care. They confiscated the boat that you sold her.
I want to make sure it's the same boat, ma'am.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Trucking company owner Brent Minnick says his former driver, Clark Millard, abandoned his truck on a job. Clark is countersuing for unpaid wages.
Now, he's not an employee. He doesn't have to do you a favor. He's not indentured. Why would he be responsible for that?
I think he's responsible for returning the truck, Your Honor, because he's...
Then you had to pay him.
Pardon me?
Then if you think that he's responsible for returning the truck, then he's on your clock, and you should have paid him. And you chose not to pay him. That's your problem. But he's entitled to get paid minimally for the 20th, because I absolutely believe him that he did work on the 20th in the furtherance of your business. Now, your daily rate was what?
I averaged $300 a day.
3 or 2?
I averaged about $300 a day.
Not about. I don't want an about. I have a text thing here where you suggest...
I text him $200, yes, ma'am.
That's what I thought.
Yes,
Your Honor.
My memory is very good.
Yes, ma'am.
Your Honor, if I can save $75 a day, I turned it down, and then he upped it to $100 a day, or else he wasn't going to return my truck.
That's correct.
So it's a very fluid number for him, and I felt like I was being blackmailed. If I don't pay him his money, he quit as of midnight on Sunday by text message, not even so much as a courtesy of a call.
Your claim is dismissed, sir. I think that you shouldn't be involved in business that you really don't know about. Your claim is dismissed. He's not responsible for bringing back your truck. And on a counterclaim for wages, I am am awarding him $200. We're done here.
Thank you, ma'am.
Why is that excuse me? Step out.
I gave the man a shot. He's new in the business. I tried to help him. I mean, when I started there,
I lost about $1,200 from the 2 days of the truck being down.
it was a week before I even got to drive a truck. I was helping him get it back together.
I'll absolutely do better diligence when I hire and bring in drivers than I have.
So, I mean, you know, I did what I could.
And more thorough research before I put anybody in my truck.
You got to take care of your drivers. You got to have better equipment.
No, it's a lesson learned. Hire better people.
You know, you can't make money with stuff that's going to keep breaking.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Ramos versus Eberhardt. Step forward.
20-year-old Amy Ramos is suing George Eberhardt for selling her a stolen boat.
Mr. Eberhardt, what do you do for a living, sir?
I have a towing business and
Towing. How long have you been in that business?
30 years.
You have one truck or more?
2.
Who works for you?
Anthony Shaw.
So it's just you have one employee.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, you sold Miss Ramos a stolen boat. You sold her a stolen boat for $1,500?
Yes, ma'am.
And then she had some other fees when she tried to register the boat. How much were those fees?
At this moment, I'm not exactly sure, but...
Well, then that's your problem. So now we have $1,500 for a boat that you paid him. Now, what other expenses did you have for registering the boat?
I had to pay to get the trailer weighed.
And how much was that?
That was approximately $100.
I don't want to hear approximately. Look at your evidence and tell me how much it was.
I do not have that receipt.
Then we don't have it. What other expenses did you have?
I paid for the registration for the trailer.
How much was that?
That came out to $46.85.
What else?
I also paid for the registration.
We don't know how much that is because you don't have the receipt. Okay. Now, you saw the boat side of the road. You made a price with him. You gave him $1,500. None of that you denied.
No, ma'am.
Great. Then they're out. She and her husband are out in the boat. Boat is approached by the Coast Guard. Coast Guard confiscates the boat because they said it is...
It is stolen.
Stolen. Do you have any proof of that?
That it was confiscated?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to see that.
Here is the paper where he gave me the original boat.
Just a second. I just want to see that it was confiscated.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Are you the victim of a scam? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
Now, what did they return to you? The trailer?
Yes.
Did you buy the trailer from him too?
Yes, ma'am.
So the boat came with the trailer?
Yes.
Got it. She wants her money back. Ball is in your court.
I would like to look at her title because I have a list here from DMV of things that I've registered.
I don't care. They confiscated the boat that you sold her.
I want to make sure it's the same boat, ma'am.
Do you have that?
The title?
Yeah.
I do.
Bird, would you pass that over to Mr. Eberhardt, please?
I don't think that that's the same boat, ma'am.
I don't care what you think. May I see the title, please?
And if it was, the boat has been registered since I had it, and I have not received anything from anybody until I found out I was getting sued about this boat. If the boat was stolen, then Fish and Game would have contacted me wondering why I'm selling this lady a stolen boat.
Well, they're going to do that now.
You know?
Well, they're going to do that now. Judge, $1.85. We're done here. Thank you.
Excuse me, step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy. He blames his ex for their debt.
She asked me to get the loan from my mother.
You think you're smarter than I am?
Well, he keeps owing more.
I assume if you're not working, you're not paying any child support.
Judge Judy.
Officer comes up to us and tells us that he had to take a quick scan of the boat.
I did everything that I thought was right with the boat.
And when to our surprise, it was a stolen boat.
I checked the VIN numbers. I checked everything on it that I could.
No, we had to get off. They took the boat from us, and then we later discussed the problem.
And as a hobby, I do a lot of boats.
But when we got it confiscated, I mean, I was very devastated.
I'm real surprised because I haven't heard anything until now.
To find out that I had to sue a person that had sold me a stolen boat.
I haven't got anything from any law enforcement or anything about me selling a stolen boat.
It's definitely time for a new boat.
You didn't pay him anything yet, did you?
No, I have not.
He wanted his house to be energy efficient.
Is this completed?
Yes. It was stated to Mr. Drummond that we were not going to be doing
Yes, until he can repair it.
But this contractor didn't seal the deal.
We definitely offered to come over and take a look and see if there was anything we could do to help him if there was damage. But
I don't think this is a way to finish a job.
Judge Judy.
You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Scheindlin. This is Judge Judy.
Ted Drummond is suing contractor Jeff Foxworthy for causing damage to his home while he was working on it.
Order. All rise.
Now, it's case number 75 on the calendar in the matter of Drummond versus Foxworthy.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Ladies, have a seat, please.
Mr. Drummond, you retained the services of the defendant to do some construction work on your house. It was, from what I gather from your papers, designed to be an energy-saving construction. You're now suing him for $5,000, and your allegation is that he damaged the house while in the process of doing this work. Defendant has a cross-complaint. He said he completed the job as best he could because he locked him out of the house before he could finish the job. Do you and Mr. Foxworthy have a written contract?
Yes, we do.
I'd like to take a look at it. Do you have a copy of the contract?
No, I don't.
This isn't a contract.
On the back of that is what he stated he would be doing, bottom right-hand corner.
It's not a contract.
That was the only contract I was given, Your Honor. He invoiced it to me and said that would be the only thing I had.
That's fine. Then you don't have a contract. You have an invoice.
Okay.
Are you Sun Country Energy Solutions?
Yes, ma'am.
You were supposed to do air sealing in the attic insulation, wall insulation, the exterior walls, and the attic.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, fine. And you've done that work before?
Yes, I have.
You work in Colorado?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have to be licensed in Colorado?
No, not to do weatherization.
And how long has Sun Country Energy Solutions been in business?
8 years.
When were you supposed to start the job?
3/29 is when we began work on Mr. Drummond's home.
And when were you supposed to conclude the job?
I estimated 2 days worth of work.
Okay. You sent him an invoice before you started the work?
Yes, we usually invoice beginning of the job.
Why?
Payment is expected upon installation.
You mean upon completion?
Upon installation of the installation.
What does that mean?
So once the installation is installed, then...
That's the job completion.
Yeah, that's correct.
What do you mean, yes? Of course.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Then why did you send him a bill on 29th?
That's when we agreed to do the work. And those are the figures that we agreed to.
What difference does it make? Why did you send him an invoice on March 22nd? I don't understand that.
It's been typical practice that we do quite often.
Let me see the before and after pictures of what you're complaining about, please, Mr. Drummond.
And unfortunately, I don't have before pictures of my house because I don't just go around snapping pictures of my house.
Well, that's
I've lived in there for
quite
a long time. But you can see the original stucco on there versus the holes that he did drill and cut. So it does give a very good example.
Would you tell me what this yellow, orange gunk is?
That's polyurethane foam.
Well, why is it on the outside?
It was installed as temporary plugs to stop weather from getting inside of the walls, like water, snow, dirt, things of that nature.
This is in April.
Yeah, we began work on 3/29, that's March 29th. Those walls were...
It's bright, sunny...
completed on 4/6, so April 6th.
Is this completed? Look at me. Is this completed?
Yes. It was stated to Mr. Drummond that we were not going to be doing any stucco repairs. I'm not a stucco contractor. I don't know how to repair stucco.
That was never stated to me, Your Honor.
This is the way you were going to leave the house?
Yes, until he can repair it. That's typical practice.
Mr. Drummond, was this ultimately smoothed out, or is this the way it was left?
No, they were actually protruding 3 inches out from the exterior of the home. They efficiencies in the foam itself, plus you can kind of see holes where weather could get in. And being in Colorado, we have weather ups and downs week to week.
What is this picture of?
That's a blown out wall in my kitchen underneath the cabinet, which he overfilled the cavity with insulation and it blew out the sheetrock. As well as the other pictures you can see, it's kind of buckled my sheetrock inside the home in other places, as well as the ceiling, and cracked the ceiling because of overfilling.
Would you show these please to Mr. Foxworthy? What is this picture of, Mr. Drummond?
That is just partially part of the mess that he left at my house. He was supposed to do a cleanup. That was sprayed all around the whole exterior of my house and gardens, everywhere.
What is this?
That's the stucco he cut out of the house and just left it. We piled it up in, better places, but
Do you know
it
what
was
that is,
all
sir?
over.
This right here?
Yeah.
That's cellulose insulation.
It's what?
Cellulose insulation. That's the insulation that we use to insulate the walls.
Well, what happened here?
I don't see any damage to the wall. I just see insulation in there.
How did it get in there?
I have no idea. We didn't blow insulation inside the house, inside the cabinets. I don't see any damage to the wall. That's part of the problem. We definitely offered to come over and take a look and see if there was anything we could do to help him if there was damage, but those offers were denied, and I don't understand how...
Well, I don't see that there's no damage to the wall, sir.
I didn't see any damage.
I don't know whether there's no damage to the wall. He says that this came in through the back wall here.
What happened is he was supposed to go around and air seal any type of penetrations that were on walls, which may be pipes, it could be anything that would be protruding through the wall through the drywall. That was per estimate on the Excel contract. That has to be done in order for rebates. None of that was done. The only air sealing he said he did was in the attic, which I cannot tell you if he did or not because you cannot see. It's covered in...
Mr. Foxworthy.
Your Honor, if I may, that's notated here on the invoice. The air sealing is done in the attic.
Mr. Foxworthy.
Yes, ma'am.
You were supposed to be finished with this job on March 31st, were you?
That is when the job was completed.
Well, listen to me, Mr. Foxworthy.
Yes, ma'am.
In your answer, what you said was on March 22nd, I started the job.
Yes.
Not March 29th. You say you started the job on March 22nd.
No, March 22nd is when the assessment was made and the free estimate was
that's not what you say in your answer.
I'm sorry.
This is your answer.
Oh, jeez. I'm sorry. It's a simple mistake. And that, yeah, I have it right there.
And actually, on April 19th was the day he was supposed to come out and finish the job. He showed up to the house.
Finish the job in April?
Yeah, this was April 19th. He was supposed to come finish and did not come finish. Claimed that my gate was a fence. The work that he needed to complete was on the exterior of the home, so I don't know what the
I'm sorry, Your Honor. We did show up that day.
What did you show up to do? Well, this says... Actually, on April 6th, the plaintiff made me and my co-workers wait for hours, and then he disagreed with the process.
Yes.
On April 12th, I was still trying to make him happy and came out to complete the job. When I showed up, he had locked the gate so I couldn't get in.
I'm sorry, it wasn't locked. It was closed. It's a 6-foot privacy fence, but there were surveillance cameras up. I didn't see them before. I don't know if they were up before.
They've been
but it felt very threatening to even step foot on his property. It felt like we might be pushed with trespassing
So what you're telling me is, sir, that you left the house like this?
That's typical with weatherization. We don't do stucco repair. It's a whole other trade.
Did you contact another company?
I have contacted another company in order to finish and fix all of the damage to the home. I do have an estimate.
Why do they have to remove and reinstall the insulation in the attic?
Because you're not able to pull down the sheetrock physically and leave the insulation up there because it will fall into the floor. But the ceiling is heaving, which is in those pictures on the big out, and put the new sheetrock up and replace it. It's basically cracking it, all the seams. And they also show where nails have kind of popped through the sheetrock from the weight.
I can see that. I can understand that. Nice. S&A Handyman, Maintenance and Landscaping, is that who you got this estimate from?
That was the only people I can get something from immediately before court today.
Then you shouldn't have come to court today.
I live in a small town. It's not very big. That's why I went to Colorado Springs. He's out of Colorado Springs, Colorado, which is actually 40 miles north of us. We're in a small town where we don't have a lot of contractors just readily available, so I did actually look online to find him through Home Advisor.
The only thing that I can see from these photographs is that what you need is somebody to do stucco work.
Stucco?
That's all that I can see. I mean, I don't think he finished the job.
Yeah.
But this estimate for $8,000 is ridiculous, and you know it because you settled with him to do the job for $2,000, less a $500 rebate.
That was
Do you
without,
understand?
I don't understand because there was damages now to the house versus just doing something the right way the first time.
That's what you say, and you have no expert to prove that to me. And this bill is ridiculous.
Yeah, I understand that. That's why I'm looking for other bids.
I'm glad you understand that. What I can see is that if I hired somebody to do insulation for my home, and they polka dots here, or have a complete disclaimer in a contract, in a written contract, that I do not do stucco work. So your house looked nice before, but it needed insulation. Now it looks ridiculous, but it has insulation.
Yeah, we have that in place now, especially after this.
Well, I can understand that you have it in place.
So he's going to do the repairs.
There's also 20 linear feet of wall that was never drilled or filled with insulation in the rear of the home.
So get it filled.
Yeah, that's the plan.
Well, get it filled. Get it filled. You didn't pay him anything yet, did you?
No, I have not.
Right. He has accounts clear, so you didn't pay. So you're not out any money.
Out a lot in repairs right now, because I've already actually had the damages started to get fixed.
I would like you to show me paid bills for what you've paid for repairs.
They have not invoiced me yet, because they are going to invoice me at the end of the job.
Then you came to court too soon, Mr. Drummond.
That's fine. I just wanted my house repaired. I don't want to live in a place where it's messed up, so...
What I'm telling you is...
Yep, understandable.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
From him, you can see at the top, it says that we were to install plugs. We showed up to install the plugs, and he had already stuccoed over the hole, so we could not install the wood plugs.
This was 3 weeks after the fact.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Ted Drummond says, contrary, he was making energy improvements. Jeff is countersuing for unpaid work and materials.
Now, if you come to court without evidence, you look foolish.
Understandable. I got months worth of work at my house, though, and it would have taken quite a while. He's already had an intent to lien on my property, and that was actually April 19th, the day he was supposed to finish. And I didn't want this to go any farther to get a lien put on my property, because I honestly don't think he would pay up and take it off the property afterwards.
So?
I don't want to lien on my property.
Well, now you won't have a lien, because now he's filed a counterclaim.
Okay.
To be paid for this job. And that's dispositive of any claim for a lien that he has, because he can't put a lien on your property now, because I'm going to entertain his counterclaim, which I'm dismissing, because I don't think that this is the way to finish a job.
If I can show proof that he agreed that the repairs were going to be done by somebody else, maybe himself, would that help?
What repairs?
The repairs on the stucco. After drilling the holes and accessing those empty bays and filling them full of insulation and sealing them back up,
yes.
If I can show proof that we didn't have any agreement for me to repair those, would that change the...
If what you say to me is that you have proof to show me that he agreed to repair the stucco work, I'll take a look at that.
We have that.
Your Honor, do you mind if I let my wife look for it? She knows exactly where it is. The point was argued that he couldn't do the repairs to the stucco over the foam, that he needed a wood sheathing, and that was the point of...
Actually, the agreement was that he was supposed to plug the holes in the walls with either a wood or plastic plug flush with the sheathing, not the stucco, in order to be able to patch that and fill in the concrete. And that never got done, so there was no way for me to ever be able to patch anything like that.
They were fixed on 4/19 when we showed up.
Because of weather.
Just a second. Can I see? So you did, in fact, go on the property on April 19th?
No, I took those from the neighbor's yard. The agreement was never for us to repair the stucco, though. It was never part of the agreement.
Just 1 second.
Okay.
Were all of the holes patched over in this manner?
From what I could see, yeah, from the street and the neighbor's driveway.
By you?
No.
You didn't do this?
No, I didn't repair them. That was never part of our contract. To repair that stucco was never part.
No, I'm asking you a question. I thought what you were telling me, Mr. Foxworthy, was that you put a plug over that orange disaster, and that it was going to be his responsibility to do whatever smooth stucco work.
That's what we showed up to.
Did you, in fact, do what you just told me you were supposed to do, which is plug over this orange disaster so that he could do the stucco work? Or did you just leave the orange polka dots on the house, or did you in some way cover them in preparation for them being stuccoed? There was only one of two answers. Either you did or you didn't.
No, we did not cover up the
Okay,
orange
fine.
foam.
Then I'm finished. Did you find it?
I did.
Then just give it to Bird. He'll show it to me.
It's in this long post. It says exactly what, from him, you can see at the top, it's
in gray.
It's in gray, it's from him, that we were to install plugs. We showed up to install the plugs, and he had already, you have the pictures, stuccoed over the holes, so we could not install the wood plugs that we had to have specially shipped.
This was 3 weeks after the fact. Actually, we agreed.
This is April 8th.
We were supposed to show up on the
19th. There's this on April 12th saying bad news. I have to order the plugs from a manufacturer.
I'm reading something, so I can't.
I'm sorry, but it just contradicts what you're reading.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You acknowledge that there were mistakes made because I believe $500 is more than enough to compensate you for your troubles. I have apologized and offered is not an answer.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Ted Drummond claims contractor Jeff Foxworthy caused damage to his home.
Okay, you acknowledge that there were mistakes made in your text.
There were a few mistakes made, yes,
You
ma'am.
acknowledge that there were mistakes made. You can sit down now. You acknowledge that there were mistakes made because I believe $500 is more than enough to compensate you for your troubles. Monday by 5, you need to make a decision. I have apologized and offered compensation. What did you apologize for? Is not an answer. What did you apologize for?
Jeez. It's been so long I can't remember.
I have apologized, offered compensation, and efforts for the troubles.
Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. I apologize for the way that I acted towards Mr. Drummond.
No.
Yeah, it states so in the text message that I had blown up on him. I had my 4th child on the way.
Just a second.
Okay. That has nothing to do with
I have apologized and offered compensation, not for blowing up at him, for mistakes that were made.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. It was the missed section also. The 5 linear feet of missed section of wall, not 20. There's 2 pictures of it that he sent me via text message.
I have plenty more if you'd like to see them. I did section.
I'm not listening to either one of you, so you're really talking to yourselves. Okay, so you're fighting. He tells you that there was a blown-out wall. You don't deny that there was a blown-out wall. You want to compensate him to the tune of $500. You say you'll come out at some point and fix the rest of the stuff, make the outside walls flush, and we can discuss it. And then you still want the same money that you agreed to at the beginning, which is $1,676. The difference was in the $500 rebate. Who was going to get the rebate, you or him?
Originally me. Oh, I'm sorry.
I've already repaired the wall, he says. But you don't have proof of that for me, right?
No.
No. I've already repaired the wall and think you forgot to subtract the $500 for compensation you said you would give me, which brings the total amount to $1,176. That's what you said to him.
Yes, ma'am.
Right? $1,176. And that's in April.
Yes, ma'am.
And then he never came back, correct?
Not till the 19th.
He didn't do anything on the 19th.
Nothing.
Right. So in April, you acknowledged that you owed him $1,176.
Upon completion of the job.
No. That's not what you said.
Read
No.
a
It's
little
not what you
farther
said.
in there, actually. If you read further on in the text, I got 200 pages of text from him. He refused to communicate over the phone, only text.
I'm done.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Want justice? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
You did some work on the house. You're not entitled to the full amount of your compensation because you didn't finish the job. The plaintiff acknowledged that he owed you money. He said that he had the walls fixed and he was deducting another $500 from that. And in April, he acknowledged owing you $1,176. So, Mr. Drummond, your claim for $5,000 is dismissed.
Okay.
And on the counterclaim, I am awarding Mr. Foxworthy $1,176. We're done.
Step out. Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy. One vehicle.
I gave her $400.
2 buyers.
I was the one paying on it, ma'am. When he didn't pay you the rest, you took the car back.
The car's still in my name.
You are some scammer.
Judge Judy.
I made it very easy for him to come to the property.
Yes, he did.
There's always
a 6-foot chain link fence.
He had full access to my property even when I was not there.
Definitely stop anybody from trespassing on your property.
I realized it ahead of time, but I should have just, not given him the benefit of the doubt.
No, we definitely knew what we were doing. We've been doing this now for 8 years.
And went with my gut instinct and just fired him on the spot.
Yeah, you can't please everybody and pay those contractors. It is not fair to put these people to work and not pay them.
We greeted each other, said hello,
exchange phone numbers.
And I assume at some point it became more than a chatting relationship.
It did. A little bit.
Their romance was going smoothly.
She struck me as a really kind, sincere individual.
Then the money started flowing.
How much did you give her for moving expenses?
$600.
What next?
$300 to pay for a bond.
So I assume you were arrested for something?
Judge Judy.
You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Scheindlin. This is Judge Judy.
David Leeson is suing his ex-girlfriend, Amanda Ferguson, for a series of unpaid loans.
Order. All rise.
This is case number one. You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated.
Mr. Leeson, where did you meet the defendant?
At her place of employment.
And where was that?
At Jack in the Box in San Antonio.
How long did you work at Jack in the Box?
A year.
You a married man, Mr. Leeson?
No, I'm not.
And you?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Tell me the date that you met and how you met.
Approximately second, third week in November, prior to November 15th, as a customer of Jack in the Box. And we greeted each other, said hello, exchanged phone numbers.
And exchanged phone numbers?
Mm-hmm.
Why would you do that?
I was interested.
You were interested in her socially?
Yes.
And if you gave him your phone number, I assume you were interested in him socially?
Yes, ma'am.
When did you next see the defendant?
Probably 3 or 4 days later.
Where?
At my home.
How did that work out? She came to your home?
Yes.
You picked her up? You went to his home?
Yes, ma'am.
What time?
Early evening.
And what did you do?
We visited, we talked.
And that's it?
That's it.
Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
When did you see each other again?
Probably a few days, a week later.
Where?
Place of employment.
At the Jack in the Box?
Yes.
And then?
And then she called me, came over, needed assistance with some funds for moving in.
Just a second, sir.
Okay.
So you had one visit where she came to your house for a few hours and you talked. Then you didn't see each other until you went back to the job there. And then the next thing that you heard from her was a telephone call that she needed money.
Well, no, we spoke on the phone a few times also.
You mean in between?
Yes.
But didn't see each other?
I don't recall. Her place of employment, I'd stop in and get a breakfast sandwich.
Okay, tell me about the phone call.
Hello, how are you?
Keep going. Keep going. You said you're going to tell me about a series of loans that you made to her. She says there was never a loan situation. So right now you have a friend that you saw twice that you were interested in socially. She came to your home. The next time you saw her was at her place of employment. You saw her no other place other than her place of employment between that first visit at your home and when she called and asked you for money. So now I want you to tell me about the phone call.
Well, she didn't call me and ask me for money. She called and came over to visit. And during the conversation.
She called, came over to visit a second time. And when was that? Approximately.
I believe it was November 15th, her birthday.
Okay, so she came over on her birthday. And?
Well, actually, we had a date to go out to eat. And she brought spaghetti over and said, didn't really want to go out to eat. So she brought spaghetti over. We ate the spaghetti and had a conversation. And then the aspect of needing to borrow some money came up.
Tell me about it.
She had move-in expenses. She was moving to a new apartment, and a sincere individual.
I don't care if she struck you. I just want to know what she said to you and what you said to her.
She was desperate for some additional funds for moving expenses.
You remember that conversation?
Not exactly. Not going down the way he's presenting it to you.
Well, tell me how it went down.
I did. They really helped me out a lot as a friend in pursuing a relationship.
I'm asking you about the first amount of money he gave you for what he says were moving expenses.
I don't even remember the amount that he given me, but he did give me some money as a gift to help me out with moving expenses.
This is less. We're talking about less than a year ago. How many times have you accepted money from men who were relatively strangers?
He has given me money quite a few times.
I'm not asking about him. I'm asking about other people, other men who were strangers, because you say you don't remember the amount. The first time he gave you money.
There wasn't anyone else.
Okay. So how much money did he give you, and what did you need the money for?
Moving expenses, as he said.
How much did you need?
I don't recall, Judge Judy.
How much did you give her for moving expenses?
$600.
Well, in your complaint, Mr. Leeson, you said that the first time she asked you for money was about a month after you met her in mid-November, when she called and told you that there was money missing from her job. Her job was in jeopardy, and unless she made up that money, she was going to lose her job. That's the first loan that you allege.
No, that was correct. Correct. I have it wrong. It was the second time.
Well, the second loan you said was a loan you agreed to pay her money for her car expenses so she could look for a job.
She had difficulty at work with a shortage in deposit, and so I gave her money, lent her money.
Nowhere in your complaint do you talk about, I'm going to show you your complaint. Nowhere in your complaint, Mr. Leeson, do you talk about moving expenses.
I've seen that. I understand. And that was...
Tell me, I like to clean things up in my own shop.
That was earlier this morning and removed.
Why? Not to put what in?
The moving expenses, I have a canceled check for it, and it's not included in the statement because it's an oversight on my part to have included it in this morning's review of it.
You what?
I have a canceled check for
Right.
$600 for the moving expense.
Right.
Discussed in reviewing the complaint this morning and just elected not to make a change to the complaint.
Okay, so the first was for moving expenses.
Correct.
$600.
Yes.
And what was the next amount of money?
$400 for
what?
car payment and car insurance.
When did you give her that? And I'd like to see the canceled check.
It wasn't a check, Your Honor.
Then the one for $400. This is the bank deposit slip for withdrawing the money.
No, I just want to know when it was. So can I see those two things, Bert? Yes, it was a check for $600. It was the 8th of November of 2015.
He never given me a check. I never received a check.
Yes, you did, because you signed it, and I just examined your signature on the check, and the signature is exactly the same as the signature on your answer. You want to take a look at it?
I don't remember no check.
Got it now?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. All right, so she borrowed $600, and then you paid a car payment for her 2 months later.
Correct.
And she hadn't paid you back any part of the $600.
That's correct.
Well, then why would you loan her any more money?
She lost her job. She
Who cares?
didn't have a job.
Yeah.
And
Then you're talking about a different story. So you had no expectation of being paid back the $600 because you hadn't been
Yes, I
paid
did.
back. That's $600 between the beginning of November and January.
yes,
Not a penny had been paid back.
that's correct.
When you gave her another $400.
Correct.
Now, when was the next amount of money you gave her? Date.
3 tanks of gas in January.
Not interested. Not interested in 3 tanks of gas. What else?
All right. The next would be a $60 charge due to the loss of her job and getting hired to a new job.
Date.
January 17th.
So then you gave her another $60 after she hadn't paid you back the $400 for the car, the $600 that you gave for the beginning of November. What next?
$300 to pay for a bond.
When?
In March 16th.
Oh, now we're in March. So now we're in March of this year.
Mm-hmm.
And she hasn't given you back, and that's for a bond.
Correct.
So I assume you were arrested for something?
It was a misdemeanor that I
What?
did. It was
I don't care what you were arrested
Yes,
for
ma'am.
something.
Yes, ma'am.
And what was your bond?
It was for $300.
Okay, fine. So now we're getting all the way back. You understand where we're going, Mr. Leeson? $600 you loaned her. That's what your check says. Let's say I believe it, that it wasn't doctored or anything else, that it was a loan for $600. But then you continue to see her. And I assume at some point it became more than a chatting relationship. You know, more than,
Yes, it did.
A little
Oh. Became, listen, we're not getting into what it is. Nobody got that but me?
I got it.
The basis for loaning her the money was if I didn't pay for the class, she wouldn't get hired. Having a job gives her ability to pay me back. She has an income tax refund coming in.
So what?
And later today,
Did anything happen between you and Miss Hunter between the time you broke up in January and April 14th?
The relationship-wise?
Yeah, did anything happen?
He was talking to other women. I seen text messages in his phone in January.
What were you looking at his phone for?
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. David Leeson says ex-girlfriend Amanda Ferguson owes for loans.
Okay, at some point, you just started to give her money when she needed it. She hadn't paid you back the $600. You gave her $400 more 3 months later. Then you bought 3 tanks of gas you wanted to slip in there. Then you gave her $60 for something else. She hadn't paid you back any of this money. And then in March Just a few months ago. You bailed her out of jail, and you want her to pay you back for that.
Correct.
What else? It's all not happening for you, Mr. Leeson.
Well, that's primarily it, but the basis for loaning her the money was if I didn't pay for the class, she wouldn't get hired. Having a job gives her ability to pay me back. She has an income tax refund coming in.
So what?
And she promised to pay from the income tax refund, which...
Just a second.
She has the ability to pay back based off her income tax.
I don't care. She got her income tax refund back either in... When did you file and when did you get your tax return back?
January.
In January. When
Yes,
did you get your money back?
February 21st.
February. Well, she didn't pay in February, sir, with her refund check, and you bailed her out in March.
Didn't know she had gotten a refund check. She told me she hadn't received it.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $600. The original $600 was a loan. The rest of it is dating. Bye.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I found her to be a very sincere, nice, honest person.
Dave was a good guy. We got along really well.
She promised me over and over that she was going to pay me back in certain ways.
I went through some things, and he was there for me.
It's not the first time I've helped somebody.
I have nothing bad to say about him. He's a really good guy, and I hope that he finds happiness.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Atkins versus Hunter. Step forward.
Adrian Atkins is suing his ex-girlfriend, Janita Hunter, for slashing his tires.
Mr. Atkins, you and the defendant were once a couple, I assume, because you have a child together. How old is that child?
3 years old, Your Honor.
And when did you and Miss Hunter break up?
Approximately 6 months ago, Your Honor.
Give me the month.
I was saying January schedules and...
Had you been living together?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Up until January?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you move out?
I did. I attempted to move out and let her stay, but she didn't want to stay. So I decided to move back into the house and keep the house up because we had purchased the home together. So she decided to leave.
Where did you go?
Went to my mom's house in Long Beach.
Are you still at your mother's house?
Yes.
And may I state, Your Honor, that I did not want her to go?
You wanted her to stay in the house?
I did want her to stay in the house.
Or did you want her to stay with you as a couple?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so it was her choice to leave?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that right?
Yes.
This incident happened in April 14th, according to you.
Yes, ma'am.
That was sometime after the breakup.
Yes, ma'am, it was.
And did anything happen between, and your claim is that the defendant slashed 4 of your tires?
Yes, ma'am, she did.
And the car was parked in front of your house?
Yes, ma'am.
Did anything happen between you and Miss Hunter between the time you broke up in January and April 14th?
As far as the relationship-wise?
Yeah, did anything happen?
He was talking to other women. I seen text messages in his phone in January.
What were you looking at his phone for?
Because he wasn't answering my phone call when he was supposed to come home one night, so...
I'm not talking about before January. I'm talking about after January.
No.
Nothing happened?
No.
So what you're telling me basically is that the real are...
Correct.
Okay. But nothing happened between January and April that you know about?
No, ma'am.
Is that right?
No.
No.
Because I have text messages between those dates.
But you weren't a couple anymore?
We were before April.
Before April?
Correct.
I thought he broke...
I mean, no, we were broken up before that. So, yes, it was just text messages that I seen before that, yes. That was...
On what date did you see?
The day we broke up in January.
Nothing after that? Because there would be no reason for you to see his phone.
Correct, correct.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
When you came outside, how did you find your tires?
Slashed.
Go.
He was talking to too many women, so, and I just didn't feel I was comfortable in our relationship, so
I don't care about what happened in January. I'm talking about April 14th.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Adrian Atkins says ex-girlfriend Janita Hunter slashed his tires.
Okay, so tell me what happened on the 14th of April.
Well, we were at my house.
Who was we?
Me, a group of friends, and my cousin who's sitting here at the right.
Friends, were they...
It was a co-ed thing. It was Kobe Bryant's last basketball game, and we were out and enjoying it. I hosted the basketball game in my home.
Okay.
And I was inside eating and watching, telling me that...
Don't tell me. Tell me your name, sir.
Yes. My name's Kevin.
Last name?
Hunter.
Tell me what you observed on April 14th, Mr. Hunter, and keep your voice up if you would, please.
No problem. That night, I was outside smoking a cigarette, and I witnessed this silver Jaguar pull up, and...
Did you know that car?
Not at all, no.
Had you ever seen the car before?
No.
And what did you see?
I witnessed Janita. She's walked out the car, and she...
The defendant?
Yes.
How long have you known her?
I don't know her.
Had you ever seen her before?
She was dating my cousin just about once time outing.
Well, he said he was living with her.
Yeah, but I never really met her.
Interacted with her.
It's his relationship.
Before April 14th, how many times had you seen her?
I just seen her once at an outing.
How much before that?
I'll say about like several months.
Okay, well, you saw this person getting out of the silver Jaguar. What did you see them doing?
She kneeled down. All I've heard was a hissing sound, and she walked around to the right side of the car.
How far were you from where this person was?
I'll say about 100 feet.
And what time of the day or night was this?
It's around 8 o'clock p.m.
Was it dark or dusk?
It was dark.
Was the street lit?
Yes. Street lights.
Was the person that you've identified
She's the driver.
Was anybody else in the car with her?
No, I just seen her step out the vehicle.
Out of the driver's side?
Yes.
And you saw her walk around and there was a hissing sound?
Yes.
So you went inside and what did you do?
I immediately went and rushed and got my cousin, Adrian.
What did you say to him when you went inside?
That there was a female outside slashing his tires.
Did you say who the female was?
No, because I didn't know who she was.
Well, if you didn't know who she was and you had seen her before, how are you identifying her today?
Well, due to my cousin, when I ran in there to let him know that it was someone slashing his tires, he immediately identified her as Janita, as his
Well, how did he identify her? He didn't see her.
I seen the car, the Jaguar, pulling off.
So the silver Jaguar?
Yes, ma'am. By the time he came in the house and got me, I guess she was just finishing doing her job on my tires.
Was the silver Jaguar her car when you were living together?
Yeah, I had literally like the same month we separated was the same month I had just got it for her. So like it wasn't like never like really around. So it didn't surprise me that he didn't recognize that it wasn't her.
When you say you got it for her, did you buy her the car?
Yes, ma'am.
And you put the car in her name?
No, ma'am.
In whose name is the car?
It's in my name.
Does she still have the car?
Yes, ma'am.
When you came outside, how did you find your tires?
Slashed and down.
I mean, he was talking to too many women, so, and I just didn't feel I was comfortable in that relationship, so I
don't care about what happened in January. I'm talking about April 14th.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Are you in a family dispute? Go to judgejudy.com, like us on Facebook, and follow us on Twitter.
Okay, keep going.
I was at a relative house.
I don't believe you.
Well, I'm her witness.
I don't believe you either.
Okay.
How's that? He saw somebody in a silver Jaguar. That's an unusual car.
I used to live over there. There's 3 other cars parked on that street, Your Honor. That's the same color as mine.
Mm-hmm. Did you put new tires on the car?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
I'd like to see the bill.
Yes, ma'am. Sir.
Did you report this to the police?
No, ma'am, I did not.
Why not?
I didn't want to get her in trouble or anything like that.
Did you discuss it with her after April 14th?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
When?
I called her several times right after I seen the car pulling off, and she didn't answer the phone, so I called her the next morning, and she told me she was at a party that eve, of course, but later on, after communicating with her through several different phone conversations, she kind of, you know, through loose terms, admitted that she did do it because she felt that I was being, you know, misleading and dishonest to her in our relationship before we had separated.
And you were having a party in your house?
Yes, ma'am. It was Kobe's last game, so we were just trying to celebrate him going out, kind of a Kobe fan.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,200. We're finished. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
You're happy that she's gone?
I am so happy.
A tenant's space overrun by decay.
Her place was mold infested. She told me I was the one that brought the mold inside the house.
Judge Judy.
There's other Jags over there, not just mine.
I believe Judge Judy is a very fair woman.
I didn't slash the tires.
She let me know that she did it because she felt I was with other women, but I wasn't.
I'm going to move on, and I'll just let God deal with that.
It is what it is.
The neighbor.
They don't have any responsibility to keep their dogs from coming into my yard.
Oh, absolutely.
The warning.
This is not a nice letter shows your state of mind.
Will it all come back to bite this homeowner?
We live in a small town, and my reputation is my bread and butter.
Not to worry. I guarantee you everyone in your small town will be watching this case.
Judge Judy.
You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Scheindlin. This is Judge Judy.
Janet Lauritsen is suing her neighbor, Susan Hounsome, and her tenant, Leonard Edwards, for the cost of offense and harassment.
Order. All rise.
Yes, case number 129 on the calendar, the matter of Lauritsen versus Hounsome Edwards.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. You folks have a seat.
Miss Lauritsen, you live next door to this gentleman whose last name is Edwards.
Yes, ma'am.
And Mr. Edwards rents a house from Miss Hounsome,
Yes,
who
Your Honor.
owns the house. How long have you been living there?
I've owned the home since 2009. I'm currently living there for the last 3 years.
Before that, you rented it out. And you have 4 dogs.
4 rescue chihuahuas.
And you have
2 dogs.
2 dogs. And one of Mr. Edwards' dogs came through a hole under the fence that separates you. Fence is on your property.
Yes, Your Honor.
Is that correct?
Yes.
And you don't have a fence.
I do not.
And your dogs were outside in your yard, which is not fenced. And so one of Mr. Edwards' dogs got out, and one of his dogs attacked your dog, according to you. You took the dog to the vet. The vet bill was $83. You advised both Mr. Edwards and his co-defendant, Miss Hounsome. And Miss Hounsome paid the vet bill, correct?
Yes, eventually.
Now, what you want is for either of the 2 of them to build a sturdier fence around their property. That's what your lawsuit is about. It's not about the vet bill, but don't touch anything, don't play with anything. But that's what you want them to do.
I actually did have the fence built on March 11th.
Around your property?
I did. My entire backyard is fenced in. The fence that divides the 2 homes belongs to them, but it was there and it was existing, so I didn't need to put a fence there. But my entire yard is completely fenced in.
Now?
Well, it's always been completely fenced in.
It's her fence.
Shh. Except for the part along their property.
Technically, yes.
Either the dog got onto your property through 2 fences or through 1.
Through 1 fence.
1 fence, which is their fence.
Correct.
Subsequently, 4th side fenced
Correct.
to match that, and you want them to pay for it. That's what your lawsuit is about.
Yes.
They don't have to pay for it. It's not their problem. That's your problem. You want to fence your yard, you fence your yard. You want to not fence your yard, you don't fence your yard. She doesn't have to pay for your fence. That's ridiculous.
Well, how would I keep their dogs from going into my yard?
How would you? Well, first of all, that's speculative. It's the same way you would keep your dogs from going into their yard because you let them out without leashes. You build a fence on your property that you pay for. They don't have to be responsible to build a fence to keep your dogs off their property. Nobody necessarily has to have a fence at all. But if you choose to have a fence, fencing in your property, then you pay for it.
We're not technically sure who owns the fence between the 2 properties.
What are you
It's always been existing there.
So you take a foot off your backyard and build a fence that is a foot into your property so that you protected your chihuahuas and your privacy.
They don't have any responsibility to keep their dogs from coming into my yard.
Oh, absolutely, which she did, which she paid you the $83 vet bill. And if the dog comes under your fence, the fence that you built, digs under your fence, and if they have already been on notice that the dogs either can dig or whatever, then they'd be responsible for the damage. But they're not responsible to upgrade your house. That's ridiculous. Now, the second part of your lawsuit is for harassment. I'd like to know what the harassment is.
The children are marking my property with chalk. They put gum under the automobile handrails. I have a lot of verbal altercations. They're constantly riding their bikes and saying things, giving me the finger.
You have no lawsuit. Your lawsuit's dismissed. Now let's get to the counterclaim. Counterclaim is for slander, defamation, and harassment. So what's the slander and defamation?
Janet works at Home Depot and is in a special services department. And in her letter to me that I received 15 times in 10 days, she said, as an employee of the Special Services Department of the Home Depot of State 44, I find it astonishing how many contractors, customers, and other realty groups know your reputation simply by your first name and my story of the horrors resources in dealing with you.
I just want to take a look at the letter.
Thank you. She also... Shh. Sorry.
I'd like to see your doctor's bill with regard to this dog bite that you allege here.
I was bitten. I didn't go to the vet. There was no... I'm sorry, I didn't go to the doctor.
I don't believe you. Do you want to know why I don't believe you?
I don't have health insurance.
I'm going to tell you why I don't. You say, I was bit myself and my dog on March 8th at 3:25, and you need the following. You need information regarding rabies vaccines for the dog that attacked me. Well, this is March 15th, and you were bitten on March 8th, allegedly. You. I'm not talking about the dog. Did you take the dog to the vet, by the way?
I did.
On what date?
That very same day.
So you took your dog to the vet, but you were bitten, allegedly, by a dog that you didn't know had rabies shots, and you didn't go to the doctor yourself.
Correct.
Don't believe you. Don't believe that you were bitten. Because you would be a very, 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 very stupid woman, which clearly you are not. Because if you wait a week not knowing whether a rabid dog bit you so that you could start immediately a series of injections to prevent your brain turning into Swiss cheese, that's something that a rational person wouldn't do. And clearly, Miss Lauritsen, you are a rational person. Clearly, based on this, and I know nothing other than this, she doesn't get it. You have a right to enjoy your property. You, your chihuahuas, and your family and friends who you refer to have a right to enjoy your property. You can fence it, you can create a glass enclosure, and that's not being a prisoner in your home. That is protecting yourself. I've lived in many homes. I put up many fences. But if my neighbor had a dog that annoyed me, I would never think of calling my neighbor and say, your dog is annoying me, I want you to build a fence. And to say to her, in here, I will be filing with FREC due to your lack of professional ethics while placing people in your home. I understand you do not do background checks and accept cash as a way to override the system. I am having a fence installed on Wednesday. This is the only way I can safely have my chihuahuas and my friends in my yard. The yard I pay taxes on to enjoy, which is absolutely true. My family and I are hostages in our own home. It's ridiculous. So, the third thing is I need checks for $81 for the payment of my Chihuahua's medical bills. By the way, I'd like to see the vet report on that, which she sent you, and $1,300 towards the fence that I'm installing. And I intend to file a complaint with Child Protective Services as the children at the home you rent out at 138 are constantly left home alone. How old are your children?
14, 12, and I got a niece and nephew, stagers 5 and 6. She has a 10 and a 15.
Let's start again.
Okay.
Your children are how old?
Mine is 15 and 12.
And what are the ages of the other children, and whose are they?
My fiance, Kimmy.
Your fiance has how many children?
She has 3, but one's 18 who does live in the home, and then she has a 16, is he? 15 and 10.
The 15-year-old, though, lives...
But he goes back and forth also to his dad's and to our home. So it's...
And then
we have protective custody of her niece and nephew, who is 8 and 6.
7.
And we got phone calls when she made them, and she kept calling them. Our home is fine. They come out, they check the home.
Well,
they're getting tired of all the phone calls.
They're already in protective custody.
Yeah.
They're under, those 2 small children are already under the auspices of the state, so somebody comes out and monitors them periodically. Okay.
And there's other kids out there that ride their skateboards and bikes that has problems with her. It ain't just my kids that live out there.
This doesn't even say there was a dog bite. This bill doesn't even say there was a dog bite. Get it back now.
That gave me.
Okay. Anything else you want to tell me about the defamation? About
Yes.
It's your defamation case.
The FREC is the Florida Real Estate Commission that she threatened to report me to, and she might have. I don't know. That kind of thing you report, and haven't had one, but I won't know if she's reported me because they won't tell me.
Well, then that's not the subject of a lawsuit. You already have the idea.
And also
what I think of the complaint.
Yes.
What I think of the complaint.
And also
she may not like all the children next door. She may not like the neighbors. If you don't like the neighbors, maybe she didn't like your neighbors that you put into your house for 6 years after you bought it. I don't know. But this letter is not a nice letter.
And it got
Miss
sent to
Lauritsen.
me 15 times.
Not a nice letter.
I just
Not a
wanna
nice letter. You will be unhappy if you work at Home Depot. When the people at Home Depot watch this, they will think that you're a little bit nutty. Now, that's what never happened. This case happened.
No, it did.
This case happened. This
I'm
is
speaking
not
to my coworkers.
This is not a nice letter. This is a threatening letter.
Trying
It's a
to get
threatening
her
letter. It
attention.
doesn't threaten anything that you're not entitled to do, but it certainly shows your state of mind. Okay. You don't have a case for slander, unless there's something else that you have.
Your Honor, I did send a letter to her boss, and those emails stopped coming. And then also, we live in a small town, and my reputation is my bread and butter. I'm a broker of a real estate company, and I live on my reputation.
Well, we'll be watching this case.
And also, I would like...
Just a second. Don't say anything else. I just said to you something. You know, you're supposed to leave them laughing. Leave them on a high note. Do you understand?
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today,
I never put another ad up because after the experience that I had with her having marijuana in the apartment, and I have text messages.
Just a second. So that you decided not to have another roommate.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Janet Lauritsen says neighbor Susan Hounsom and tenant Leonard Edwards owe for the cost of offense and harassment. The defendants are countersuing for slander, defamation, and harassment.
Now, everybody who lives in your small town, your local newspaper is going to say, watch the case of, and so not to worry about your reputation. We're done here. Cases are dismissed.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
It was about a personal way to get a fence paid, I guess.
Going in and out of my home, I'm constantly harassed.
And she thought that I would do it.
I had to spend a great deal of money to put a fence up.
But there was no legal responsibility for me to do it.
To do something that the owners of the property as well as the owners of the dog should have.
I went over to see her, to see if she had a threat, to see if her dog was hurt or was bitten.
We have little interaction. I hope that continues other than...
And she said there was nothing that she could show me on her body.
Just hope the silly little child just things go away.
That indicated she had been bitten by a dog.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Stower versus Green. Step forward.
Amanda Stower is suing her former roommate, Kelly Green, for unpaid rent, utility bills, and property damage.
All right, Ms. Stower, you and the defendant were roommates for a while. You signed a lease on an apartment, and 6 months into the one-year lease, Ms. Green moved out. That one-year lease is over now, and you want her to be responsible for her share of the 6 months' rent that she didn't pay. That's what your case is about.
It was actually, she skipped out on 8 months of the
Well, you
lease.
say she skipped out. So you waited 8 months, and you lived in the apartment, I assume alone.
Yes, ma'am.
For 8 months, and now that the lease is over, you're suing her.
It's not over yet.
When will it be over?
The last day of the lease will be the 21st of July.
Okay, almost over.
Yes, ma'am.
And the rent on this apartment was how much?
I believe $1,380.
And how large is the apartment?
It's a 3-bedroom apartment, ma'am.
And you signed the lease when?
December 11th of 2014 is the actual date.
So that you also signed a renewal?
We signed an
extension.
July 30th of 2015.
So everything was fine for the year?
Yes, ma'am.
And things at some point were not fine?
Yes, ma'am.
When did they become not fine, Miss Green?
Right after I re-signed the lease. Everything just went downhill. She was just dating random people.
Just listen.
Sorry.
You weren't getting along?
No, not at all.
Did you talk to Miss Stower about it?
No.
Didn't discuss it with her?
I discussed things that were ruined of mine, but I was to the point that I would just stay in my room and go to work, come home, stay in my room.
Okay.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Maybe if you told her you were going to sue her for the rent, she wouldn't have moved, and she would have stayed, and then you would have had to move.
I did tell her that I was going to sue her for the rent, and she told me that she was going to sue me.
Show me.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Amanda Stower says her former roommate, Kelly Green, owes for rent, bills, and property damage. Kelly is countersuing for broken glasses and harassment.
Now, did you discuss moving out?
I told her 30 days before I was going to move out. I gave her a 30-day notice.
Well, she's not the landlord.
Right.
You both signed the lease.
Correct.
So you told her 30 days in advance. And what did she say to you about you moving out?
She said, okay, I have a text.
See it.
Yes.
Yep, right there.
Now, this is a 3-bedroom house. Who lived there?
Her daughter and me and her.
So what was your share of the rent?
$500 plus utilities, half of the utilities.
And her daughter had the room?
Yes.
And you had a room?
Yes.
And she had a room?
Yes.
And you paid $500, which is certainly more than a third of the rent, plus half the utilities? How old is your daughter?
She's 11, ma'am.
And you opted to stay in the house and not rent the third room after she moved out?
After the experience of...
No,
No, ma'am. I did not.
And when the lease is up, have you asked for an extension of the lease?
No, ma'am.
Where are you going?
I'm going to put all my stuff in storage, and I'm moving in with a friend of mine.
With whom?
One of my girlfriends from the Navy. She's a real close friend of mine.
Okay. It's clear from these texts back and forth that you were not unhappy that she was leaving, and that the $75 fee that she was going to pay the office to get off the lease, if there in fact was still a lease, you didn't have a problem with it all.
I have.
I'd like to see what you have.
I said we extended our lease until July, and she said yes. I told you I was going to sign that, but I wasn't sure if I was going to stay.
That's exactly what I have. I have those texts. And it appears from a reading of these texts that there was a meeting of the... Understand, actually, is why you and your daughter lived there comfortably for the last 8 months when clearly you weren't getting along with her. And you waited until the end of that time to sue her. Do you have all the ads that you placed with the realtors to rent the other room?
I never put another ad up because after the experience that I had with her having marijuana in the apartment, and I have text messages.
Just a second. So that you decided not to have another roommate?
Yes, ma'am, after.
She doesn't owe you any money. Do I have a counterclaim here?
Yes.
I read your counterclaim. She says you agreed as you were not getting along and has a stupid counterclaim. I still think it's a stupid counterclaim, so you have 30 seconds to tell me about it.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Have you been cheated? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
Now, you have 30 seconds to tell me about it.
I just want my glasses fixed. They're really expensive, and I asked her for it. I don't have the text message of what I asked her. I asked her to replace it, and she blamed me because I left my door open. But the reason that I left my room door open is because my room was really hot in the winter.
You know, I don't care.
And her dog just went in my room. She didn't kennel her dog
I
up.
actually don't care. Okay, first of all, from reading these texts, it is my view that the reason then you were having a miserable experience and you didn't want your daughter involved in that miserable experience, so you were just as happy for her to leave. You also have a responsibility under these circumstances to try to lessen your damages. You said, I didn't place an ad for the other room. It's a 3-bedroom house because I didn't want another roommate. Well, so first you sort of acquiesced to her leaving and then wait until the end of the lease and sue her for the rent. Maybe if you told her you were going to sue her for the rent, she wouldn't have moved and she would have stayed, and then you would have had to move.
I did tell her that I was going to sue her for the rent, and she told me that she was going to sue me.
Show me where you told her and when you told her you were going to sue her for the rent.
On November 19th, as she was moving out.
Show me.
It was a verbal.
Okay. Your case is dismissed. So's your counterclaim. We're done.
Excuse me, step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
Tensions flare between neighbors.
You see somebody throwing what appears to be gasoline in the fire pit.
The gasoline ignited as it hit the fence. There was no big inferno that he's talking about.
Judge Judy.
I'm glad. I don't have to pay her anything. She doesn't deserve it.
I didn't kick her out. She left on her own free will.
She's cheated the government, and
she had marijuana in the apartment around my daughter.
For having marijuana, so.
I just told her that I would not tolerate marijuana in my house around my child.
I'm over it. I don't even care about my glasses. Yes.
She threatened to call CPS on me for neglect for my daughter.
Definitely don't want to live with someone
which she's not neglected in any way, shape, or form.
You meet in a random state that you moved to.
It'll never happen again.
How long have you been in the construction business?
22 years, ma'am.
A home edition ready for the wrecking ball?
How much did you pay him?
$4,000 the first payment and $2,000 the second payment.
What you built was not built according to code.
And a defense in danger of collapse.
Are you a licensed contractor in Virginia?
I'm a licensed plumber. I don't have a contracting license. I may have done wrong there.
Judge Judy.
You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Scheindlin. This is Judge Judy. Nancy Carroll is suing contractor Ian Hoffman for substandard work on a porch she hired him to build.
Order. All rise.
This is case number 88. Welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Sir, have a seat.
Ms. Carroll, you hired the defendant to perform work for you to build a porch on your home. It is your claim that despite the fact that you paid him a substantial amount of money, he never completed the job. You want your money back.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Hoffman said, well, he was almost finished and you fired him. Mr. Hoffman, how long have you been in the construction business?
22 years, ma'am.
Do you work for yourself?
I was just starting to work for myself.
So you had worked for somebody else before?
Yes, ma'am.
Who was that?
Boyers Mechanical out of Pennsylvania.
What happened to that job?
I left it to come to Virginia to start with Southern Air.
Are you a licensed contractor in Virginia?
I'm a licensed plumber.
Well, you don't have to be a plumber to build a porch.
Yes, I'm not a licensed contractor, no, ma'am.
Not?
No.
Are you supposed to be a licensed contractor before you build anything that annexes to a house?
I'm sorry, ma'am. I'm not certain that I am. It was an issue between friends, and I don't have a contracting license. I may have done wrong there.
How long do you know Miss Carroll?
Maybe 5 weeks. She is a friend of a friend.
She's not your friend.
Yeah, she's not my direct friend.
I didn't get the sense that she was a friend.
Definitely not my friend now.
I got the feeling that you really didn't know her at all.
No.
When she hired you. Did you prepare a written contract?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
I'd like to see it.
All right.
I'd like to see. Okay, so you both signed this?
Yes, ma'am.
Agreement. It outlined what you were supposed to do for the $7,570 that she was supposed to pay you. How much did you pay him?
I paid him $4,000 the first payment and $2,000 the second payment, which was after the roof was put on.
After the roof was put on, you were supposed to pay him $1,867.50.
Yes, ma'am.
But you paid him $2,000.
Yes, ma'am.
And another $1,867.50 when the job was completed. But you never made that last payment to him.
Correct.
Okay. Do you have a picture of the property before the work was done?
No, ma'am.
I do, ma'am.
I'd like to see
That's pertinent.
a picture of the property before the work was done, and then I'd like to see a picture of the property when the defendant left the property.
Got it somewhere.
By the way, how long did this take you, Mr. Hoffman?
I'd been working on the porch myself for 3 weeks. I'd just hired a man to help me finish up the last week, and I'd also hired Mr. Kuhn to come in and stain the deck when we were done.
Did he do it?
No, ma'am.
So he didn't do it?
We got fired there. Yes, ma'am.
From what time to what time?
I worked as long as I could.
No. That's not what I asked you. What time did you start?
I worked through the day and into the night.
Did you ever start working at 10 o'clock at night?
I didn't start, but I continued.
Until what time?
1, 2. I was a long way from home, ma'am.
What does that mean?
I have a dog, a cat. I mean, I was an 1.5 to 2 hour drive from the house through the mountains, and I wanted to get the job done quick for myself and for her.
You can't work at night in a residential neighborhood, banging.
It's the countryside, ma'am. There's not a house within 100 yards.
100 yards isn't far.
I wasn't banging. I didn't even drive any nails. I was screwing. The whole deck is built out of screws, 3-inch screws.
May I see a picture of what you started to do?
Yes, ma'am. It's got the deck not near about where it's at now. Some examples of design work. I designed it myself.
May I please see the...
Yes.
No, I don't need any of this. I want to see a picture of what the property looked like. That's what I asked you for before you got started. You said I have that.
Yes, I thought I did. As a matter of fact, I do. It's on my phone. Would you like to see that?
Yes. And I'd like to see the picture of the property.
Those are hers.
These are yours?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Did you bring that to her, sir? The existing deck she had in place.
Okay, got it. When were these pictures taken?
Possibly 2 weeks after he left.
2 weeks after he left?
1 to 2 weeks. And I didn't get them returned from going and having them developed till another week.
But after these pictures were taken, he never came back to the property.
Before, probably before they were taken.
What?
I hadn't been back to the property for 1 week to 2 weeks before those were
Well,
taken.
I'm looking at some of this work, sir. I don't get it. actually, and I'm not in construction.
I haven't seen them.
I'm going to show you what it looks like.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
want you to look at all of them. And then Officer Byrd is going to return them to me. Did you get somebody else to do this job?
I had 2 and 3 contractors come to my home and got estimates. I have those.
May I see them?
Yes, ma'am.
Look very carefully at all those things, as I did, sir.
Yes, I am, ma'am. It's just showing pretty much what I'd expect to see from an unfinished job. It says I left it so far. Like I said, I was there to finish up that week, and it looks like an ongoing project.
I got the whole thing, sir.
Which I told her before we started the job. It's a substantial job. It will be a job site for a little while.
Listen to me carefully.
Yes, ma'am.
There are certain codes. What you built was not built according to code. All of these, everything that was done in order to build the roof according to code.
That's not even close to true, ma'am. It's not even close to true.
Well,
the whole
I'm looking at the work there, and I am a lay person, actually, Mr. Hoffman, and I'm not a builder. But the infrastructure of what you built there is so poor.
You're looking at the old construction is what I'd say.
I'm looking at the old construction or what you built?
You're not looking at the new if it's poor because it's overbuilt. Everything and the whole thing screwed
together. Well, then just show me show me a photograph of what you finished.
There's not one single thing that's 100% finished. The roof is dried in. Per contract.
You got $6,000 out of a $7,500 fee.
Oh, that's in material and fuel. I've made no money out of this. Lost money on this job.
You're going to lose even more.
Ma'am, I'm not.
And
if anything, she owes me money.
Mr. Hoffman, what you have to do before you go into business, you have to find out what the requirements are.
I didn't think I was in business, ma'am. I was not trying to make money.
You are in business if you're building a house.
I wasn't building a house.
You pay careful attention. If you're building a house, you have to build a house according to code. If you're putting a roof on something, you have to build a roof according to code. If you're building a structure that's enclosed, I read the outline of what you were supposed to do, it has to be built according to code. And if you don't know what the code, your friend.
I know the code. I said I wasn't licensed. That's above and beyond code.
Not according to these 3 estimates.
This isn't California, ma'am. This is in Virginia. We don't have earthquake, seismic restraints. You don't have to.
We're not talking about earthquake. I live in Connecticut. I have a code.
And I followed it. I overbuilt it. There's 16 4x4 posts holding up a 16 by 8 structure.
You show me how you can get up on the ramp that you built.
I didn't build that ramp, ma'am. That's an existing ramp.
Was that an existing ramp?
Yes, it was.
But your proposal included a ramp.
Moving her. It was an existing ramp that was to move and improve.
Well, did you do that?
I moved it.
And?
It has not been improved yet. It was improved by taking it away from the front of her house.
We're done here.
Ma'am.
Are excused.
I cared about the guy, and he'd bring his dog, and I babysit his dog.
She was too friendly. It was hard to work. She was so friendly.
Feeding him and his dog.
She went so far as to say, stop working. You don't need to work so hard.
But he'd be out there, 10 to 5 o'clock in the morning.
You come in and eat something, come in and drink something. And
like to fall off the deck while he's working. I said, you need to come in and get some rest.
Yes, she had me stay over.
And just sleep and rest.
Sleep on the couch. It's really hairy.
It just got to be ridiculous.
To be polite, nice, I did stay over a couple nights.
A lesson learned that was a nightmare, if you ask me.
But, I work for a living, and it's taking money out of my pocket, and it hurts.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Cornett versus Duncan. Step forward.
Sean Cornett is suing his former friend, Timothy Duncan, for money owed for helping Timothy's mother close a workman's comp case.
Mr. Cornett, what do you do for a living?
Right now, I'm retired. I'm unemployed, but I was a truck driver.
How long were you a truck driver?
Probably close to 10 years.
How old are you?
52.
When was the last time you had a job?
04, when my daughter was born.
Is there any reason for that?
Yeah. I had 2 TIAs, strokes, in last year.
Well, last year is not 2004. Why didn't you work between 2004 and 2015?
I stayed with my daughter, raised my daughter.
How did you support yourself?
She's on social services.
Who does she live with?
Me.
Well, she didn't live with you when you were living with the defendant.
Yes, she did.
So the 2 of you lived there?
Yes.
How old is she?
She's 12 now.
What's the nature of her disability?
She's not disabled. I am.
Sir, I just asked you what you did between 2004 to support yourself and 2015.
Right.
What did you do?
I worked as a mechanic.
Okay. Now, You needed a place to live. I assume you had an extra room.
Right.
You said you would let him move into that room.
Right.
Did you charge him rent?
$400.
Where did he get the $400 from?
I'm not sure.
You're not sure?
No.
Great. This is what your lawsuit is about, Mr. Cornett. Mr. Duncan's mother had a pending workman's comp case, and it is your claim that she agreed that if you helped her get her workman's comp case resolved, then you would get a piece of the action.
She offered me $2,000.
Now, why would she ask you to help her with a workman's comp case?
Well, she didn't ask me. I was told that she had a workman's comp case, and I said, well, Betty, how old is this? You know, because she hadn't worked for a while.
No, my question is, why would she ask you? You're a truck driver, unemployed, who does mechanics work part-time. Why would she even think? What expertise do you have to help anybody getting a workman's comp case?
Well, just because I was a truck driver doesn't make me an idiot.
Well, let me explain something to you. I didn't say that you were an idiot, sir. I've been a practicing lawyer for 50 years.
Okay.
I wouldn't know how to go about getting somebody workman's compensation. It's not what I do. I do this. So I wouldn't know how to get somebody workman's comp. So my question is, why would anybody think that you had anything, their workman's compensation case resolved, as opposed to letting her son do it?
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today,
Where did you find this car?
I was driving near the airport, and the car was parked.
So you didn't buy it on a lot?
No.
You bought it from the street?
Parked near a lot, though.
Oh, come on.
So.
Come on, you look like a smart enough lady.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Sean Cornett is suing his former friend, Timothy Duncan, for money owed for helping Timothy's mother close a workman's comp case.
Now, what do you have?
I happen to have some experience with some of the law stuff.
Well, I'd like you to tell me. That's what I'm asking you, sir.
Okay. Well,
I was getting sort of vague answers from you about how you've managed to support yourself for the last 2 decades.
Okay.
So now maybe you can tell me.
All right. Well, what happened was she mentioned that she had this case, and I said, well, how old is it? She said 7 years. I said, 7 years? It's stagnant. It's over. She didn't have any real paperwork or anything that she gave me, so I tried to contact her attorneys, and they sent me a letter stating that they just went to court and relieved themselves of representing her. So I told her, well, Betty, we're going to have to get some new lawyers. So we went to Costa Mesa. We got an attorney there, and I explained to them she hasn't received anything, no doctor's appointments, nothing. He goes, well, the doctor's appointment, her and I, he checked her range of motion and everything, and he was supposed to give workman's comp when she was MSA, permanent disabled. And so he sent a letter to them and to us also stating that she was declared permanent disability back in 2008 or 9. And so we got the case going again because we had seen a doctor. Shortly after that, they started sending her $420 twice a month. Okay, so I said, we got the case going again. So I have a stack of emails that were from her attorney to myself.
I don't care about those emails, sir. Your friend was very nice. He let you and your daughter move in to their home for $400 a month. I want only to see an email between you and Betty, is that her name? Betty, where she said she would pay you $2,000.
Okay, I don't have an email because I lived with her.
Just a second.
Oh, I'm sorry.
A note, a writing, a something that said that if she resolved her workman's comp case, she would give you $2,000.
Okay, I don't have anything like that.
Then you have no case.
Okay.
Good. Are we done?
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge.
Case dismissed. Thank you.
All right, you're excused. You may step out.
I didn't ask for the money.
My mother had dementia.
She said she would do it. I told her she didn't have to.
I really knew nothing about it.
And she insisted that I do it if I could get the case going again.
I didn't hear anything about it until after she passed away.
He's fully who he is.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Omotayo versus Daniels. Step forward.
Carolyn Omotayo is suing James Daniels for selling her a stolen vehicle.
Ms. Omotayo, it is your claim that the defendant sold you a stolen car.
Correct.
You purchased the car in
November. Your Honor.
November.
Yes.
And when you purchased the car, you got a title.
Yes, I did, Your Honor.
And was the title in Mr. Daniels' name?
No, it was not, Your Honor.
In whose name was it?
Tamika.
Okay. You purchased a car from Mr. Daniels, and the title he gave you was not in his name.
That's correct, Your Honor.
Well, that should put you on notice.
It did.
Then I wouldn't fork over any money. Somebody has a car they want to sell, and the car title is in somebody else's name.
I believed him to be a dealer. because I saw his dealer's license, so I have pictures of that as well.
What difference does it make? Then the title would have to be signed over by whoever Tamika is to the dealership.
Well, it was signed.
By whom?
I don't know. When I go to the dealer, it's signed as well.
Where did you find this car?
I was driving near the airport, and the car was parked. So
you didn't buy it on a lot?
No.
You bought it from the street?
Parked near a lot, though.
Oh, come on.
So.
Come on, you look like a smart enough lady.
Judge Judy continues.
Do you understand? A bank account.
Right.
Not something from him saying,
No,
definitely. Do you understand?
Yes.
You understand that I'm suspicious of this whole deal.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Carolyn Omotayo says James Daniels sold her a stolen car.
So you saw the car on what date?
I saw it maybe November the 8th.
Okay. And when did you purchase it?
November the 15th.
Now, Bird, would you take a look for me, please? This was 2007 BMW X3.
That's correct.
7325.
Now, you're a smart lady. You looked it up in the Kelly Blue Book.
Correct.
And you were paying $700 more than the Blue Book, according to your complaint.
If it was less, then I would have been more suspicious.
No. You can buy the same car anywhere else for $7,300. And according to you, you paid $8,000 for the car. According to you. That's what you say here. I purchased the car from James for $8,000. A car that was titled in somebody else's name that you were buying off the street. You follow where I'm going?
I hear you, Your Honor.
You follow where I'm going. You're a smart lady. What do you do for a living?
I do bookkeeping. So I went to the dealership and I looked at cars similar, and they're comparably priced. So
well, then I would buy it from it. Just a second. Then I would buy it. Then I would buy it from a dealer. I wouldn't buy it from a guy on the street that I don't know. Anyway, according to your story, you gave him $8,000 on November 15th.
That's
Did you pay him
correct.
by check or cash?
I did pay cash.
I'd like to see where you got the money from.
Okay. And I have this as well, which shows that I did pay it.
No.
So
I want to see where you got the money from.
Right.
Not something from him saying,
No,
I got the money.
definitely.
Do you understand?
Yes.
You understand that I'm suspicious of this whole deal.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Are you the victim of a scam? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
So now I want you to show me where you got $8,000 in cash from. You don't sleep with it under your mattress.
No.
You didn't pay him by check. You're a bookkeeper, so you know about checking accounts, savings accounts. Just show me where you got the money from.
Okay.
Just don't show me that. That's text messages. What I want to see
from the bank showing.
What I want to see.
Okay.
You want to tell me which? I want to see your bank statement.
Okay.
Do you have it? The is not an answer.
I
do you have
not have a bank statement showing it, but that's a message from the bank showing the amount that was in my account.
Your case is dismissed without prejudice. Go someplace else and try this case.
Step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
A makeup artist tries to save face. Then things got ugly.
She did threaten me, saying that she was gonna post negative stuff.
Not negative, the truth.
Did she post it?
She did.
Judge Judy.
When I went to register it, they told me that the car was...
I sold her car with the pink slip and...
either stolen or VIN wash or something like that.
She told me the car was stolen 5 months later.
The DMV called like CHP.
It was all legit.
And said that it was a stolen car.
It was a legit sale.
They did come talk to me, yes.
That's weird.
More embarrassing than intimidating because I knew I didn't do anything wrong.
Mr. Granados did not show up to do your daughter's makeup for her prom night.
A makeup artist tries to save face.
And you didn't show up because you breached an agreement.
Then things got ugly.
She did threaten me, saying that she was gonna post negative stuff.
Not negative, the truth.
Did she post it?
Yeah, she did.
Judge Judy.
You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Scheindlin. This is Judge Judy. Rosalind Mullen and her cousin, Chanel Thomas, are suing makeup artist 22-year-old Jose Granados for the return of a deposit for his services and pain and suffering.
Order. All rise.
It's case number 76 on the calendar in the matter of Mullen Thomas versus Granados.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat.
Who's Miss Mullen?
I am.
It's an interesting case. The defendant is a makeup artist, and you hired him to do your makeup for a wedding vows reception that you were having. For yourself?
Yes, in the month of August.
And you retained him and gave him a deposit?
Yes.
How much of a deposit?
$285.
So far correct?
It was $280.
Does anybody have contract?
I do.
He refused to give me a fully executed copy of the contract, so...
Well, I'd like to take a look at what he has. $280. In the meantime, is this a cousin of yours?
Yes.
Your cousin's daughter was graduating from high school?
Yes, ma'am.
And she wanted to hire someone to do her daughter's makeup for her graduation pictures?
Yes.
And makeup for her prom night?
Yes.
You recommended Mr. Granados?
Yes. Well, she hired me for the entire event. I have an event planning company, and she hired me for everything. And that's why I recommended him. He was a
Well,
vendor.
did you pay him independently?
Yes.
What date did he come to do your daughter's makeup for cap and gown?
The day that he came to do the cap and gown pictures, yes.
Did you pay him?
Yes,
All
just
right,
for the cap and gown pictures, not for prom.
Just a second. So you paid him for the cap and gown pictures?
I don't remember. It was in the month of March. But I do have it in my phone.
Do you have the date?
I don't have the exact date, but it was in March.
So in March, you did this young lady's makeup for her cap and gown pictures for her logbook.
Yes.
Graduation book. And the prom was on a different night. How much did you pay him to do the makeup for that night?
$75.
And that's what you charged her?
I believe, I don't clearly, it was like 65 or 75, one of those.
Your Honor, I have the text messages in my phone with his price for that day.
Which was $75?
Yes, ma'am. And I also hired him twice in February.
And you paid him?
Yes, ma'am.
This is your problem. Mr. Granados did not show up to do your daughter's makeup for her prom night.
Yes, ma'am.
Or he came very late. Did he come at all?
He didn't show up at all.
He didn't show up at all. And you were supposed to show up.
Yes.
And you didn't show up because?
I had a family emergency.
What was the family emergency?
So my little brother is a single father, and he was at work that night. And basically the daycare called him asking if he could pick up the baby because she had a pink eye and she was being really fussy. So he couldn't get out of work. And so he called me if I could go pick her up. And so I had to go do that.
You didn't even send it back.
Don't speak. It's not important. He considered that a family emergency. Put your hand down. And what you want to do is you want your money back, the $280 back as a deposit, because according to you, while you don't say it, you lack confidence that he's going to show up for your vows evening. So because he didn't show up for prom night, you want your deposit back.
That's part of it. He also called the night before the prom and asked her, can I do her makeup emergency?
Just a second.
It was a lie.
Listen to me. I don't care. He considers that a family emergency. I don't consider that a family emergency.
Who would sleep in their makeup?
Do you want me to throw you out of here? I will. Then you get nothing. I don't consider it a family emergency because the fact that his brother couldn't leave his job to go and pick up his child meant that he chose his brother's job over his job because he had a job. His job was to do the makeup for a young lady who's only going to have one prom. That was his job. So you understand, you may consider that an emergency. I don't consider that an emergency. If it's true, just for my own information, did you call the night before and suggest that she have her makeup
I
done the
didn't,
night
and
before?
I would like to see the text messages.
Just a second. That's all I asked you. Did not. So I said, it doesn't make any difference to me. You made a choice.
Yeah.
The question is your choice sufficient to allow her to get back a non-refundable deposit? That's what the whole case is about. You have no case, by the way. You didn't have a contract with him.
I would have assumed that it was a verbal contract, being that I have text messages right here with him confirming that he was going to...
I'd like to see them.
May I say something, Your Honor?
No. These text messages are all the day before.
No, they were the day of. There's other messages in there the day of.
Just a second. Well, these are Friday. When was your prom? What day was your prom?
Saturday.
What day was your prom?
April 23rd.
These are the day before. They start Friday.
Correct.
Good evening. This is Chantel. What time are you coming tomorrow? Hi, I think we're still in the air on a time. She needs to be ready by 5. I thought my cousin had given you the time. No, she never gave me a time. So that's the day before. And you certainly never gave him any money for this. Is that right?
No, I did not, Your Honor.
Yeah, you have no case against him.
It says in there as well, Your Honor, that he agreed to be there that day, the next day at 3 p.m. It's in those text messages.
That's fine.
He called at 2:17.
That's fine. I don't do pain and suffering for makeup for prom night.
Your
By
Honor,
the way,
my
you look
daughter
absolutely
is graduating
lovely.
a year early. I went above and beyond for her prom.
Just a second. Then what you should have done is made your own arrangements and not have your cousin make the arrangements. You made your arrangements.
She was the person that I hired.
We have a contract.
Get a contract.
We
no,
have
you
one.
have no,
I have a contract.
We have a contract between us.
That
She hired my company.
No. Your contract with him for prom night. She may have hired your company. You have to have a contract with him for prom night. Where's your contract with him for prom night? Well, I don't care whether you made a contract on paper or otherwise. You have a contract with him. Where's your contract for her with him?
There isn't a contract
with her and him. You have no case. Now, the only issue that I have is whether or not I believe in an anticipatory breach, whether or not the plaintiff, because she felt as if you breached another contract that she was aware of, is entitled to her deposit back because she finds you unreliable.
I did, when we filled out the contract, I also did explain to her how I have it written down on there, that if she was to cancel, then it's a non-refundable deposit.
I understand what it says here. My question is, because I think she has a legitimate issue with regard to her deposit. You breached an agreement. It may not have risen to the level of a binding contract, but you breached an agreement to do this young lady's makeup for a reason that you described to me as a family emergency. I do not consider that an emergency. Now, if you told me you got a call from your child's school that the child had to be picked up because of a medical emergency, that's an emergency. But you made a choice, your brother's job or yours. That's not an emergency. So she questions, I know he has a non-refundable deposit here. However, I've been in business with him before. And this breach of his agreement with one of my other clients rendered me so unsure of what he would do in the future for my vows ceremony that I want my deposit back. If I'm going to pay $500 to somebody to do my makeup, I want to make sure that they're going to be there and not have another emergency.
Yeah. And I also understand that. And also one of the things is I did her makeup 2 times prior to that, and I also did Kira's makeup 1 time before this as well. So I was on time.
Well, you did Kira's makeup for her graduation pictures, for which you were paid.
Yeah, and then I did her makeup twice as well.
Before
and I was on
or
time.
after?
Before. And I was on time for those 2. So I was on time each time they booked me, and it was just this 1 time.
How many times has the defendant done your makeup?
Twice in February. I booked him the day before. So he's great with, next day, not 2 or 3 months down the line, in my opinion.
Is that correct?
It was a couple days before the photo shoot.
Okay. This event is supposed to take place in August.
Yes.
You have plenty of time to get another booking.
It threatened me saying that she was going to post a whole bunch of negative stuff.
Not negative, the truth.
And then I also...
Just a second. Did she post it?
Yeah, she did.
And later today...
When did you have a relapse?
March 1st.
What did you relapse on?
Alcohol.
He refers actually to a heroin overdose.
Yes, Your Honor.
So when you left the sober living house, first you had a relapse the first day you moved in, and subsequently you overdosed on heroin.
Yes.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Rosalind Mullen and her cousin Chanel Thomas say makeup artist Jose Granados owes for the return of a deposit and pain and suffering. Jose is countersuing for defamation of character.
Now, you gave him $280?
Yes.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $280.
Thank
Take
you.
your deposit back, get another makeup artist. You don't have to worry about it.
And
you
also,
have plenty.
can I
and you have
also
plenty.
say something?
What?
I had to put in a countersuit because she did threaten me, saying that she was going to post a whole bunch of negative stuff onto the page where she found me.
Not negative, the truth.
And then I also...
Just a second. Did she post it?
Yeah, she did.
I'd like to see what she posted.
You have it over there.
I have the contract. Oh, I have the post.
As well, where she was lying.
Well, I don't know the comments. Are the comments here?
No, I don't have it with me.
Well, but this is actually right on the money. From her perspective, she says, I found this person in this group and hired him to do a makeup for a client of mine today for her daughter's prom. He was scheduled to come at 3 o'clock. He texted us at 12:30 today to confirm, as well as last night. Then he texted at 2:17 to say, sorry, I won't make it. This is very unprofessional, and I'm disgusted because he was booked in advance for the prom. So far, all true. This is not how I do business, and I thought I should post this since I found him in this group. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, and then there was also text messages where she was
Don't tell me. Show me.
You have them right there. There's text messages where she was texting at 12 at night, 12 p.m.
To who?
To me.
The same day of the prom that he never answered any of my calls.
The accounted claims dismissed. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $280.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What is our excuse, Miss? Step out.
He's unprofessional, and I don't deal with unprofessional people in business at all.
It is what it is.
He did a great job, but he didn't follow through.
I'm going to keep on doing the way I've always done business. Everybody's okay with it, and this was the first problem I've ever had.
Make sure you have a contract and do not book Jose, because he doesn't know how to do business correctly.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of O'Brien versus Marshall. Step forward.
20th landlord, Jeffrey Marshall, for the return of the security deposit and personal belongings.
How old are you, Mr. O'Brien?
24.
Who is this person?
This is my best friend, Gaia.
You rented a room at Mr. Marshall's house?
Yes, I did.
When?
For the month of March.
Where had you been living before that?
I actually lived in a sober living.
Immediately when you left the sober living house, you moved into Mr. Marshall's room?
Correct.
Did you have a relapse?
Yes.
You moved in what date in March?
March 1st.
When did you have a relapse?
Soon after that.
What date?
March 1st.
Same day you moved in? What did you relapse on?
Alcohol.
Did Mr. Marshall react to your relapsing?
He didn't know it was a relapse. He just thought it was drinking, so it didn't appear to him as a relapse.
Well, you don't know how you appear to him. He refers actually to a heroin overdose.
Yes, Your Honor, that happened one night. I tried it one time. I overdosed. I never did it again. I believe it was the first week of March. I'm not positive about the date.
So when you left the sober living house, first you had a relapse the first day you moved in, and subsequently you overdosed on heroin.
Yes.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Mr. O'Brien knows enough to tell me exactly the truth. He acknowledged that he overdosed on heroin. So I'm going to ask you, and then I want you to tell me.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Daniel O'Brien says his former landlord, Jeffrey Marshall, is withholding his security deposit and personal belongings. Jeffrey is countersuing for property damage, rent, utilities, and stolen tools.
Did you do any damage to the place when you...
No.
You made an agreement with him. This was all not working out. And it is your claim twofold, that he kept some property that belongs to you?
Everything.
And that he refused to return your security deposit?
Yes.
How much was your security deposit?
$850.
Was that his security deposit?
Yes.
You see, Mr. O'Brien knows enough to tell me exactly the truth. Because whether you had proof or not, he doesn't know that. But he acknowledged that he overdosed on heroin. He acknowledged that he went off the wagon the first day he lived with you. So I'm going to ask you, and then I want you to tell me. What did you do with his things, Mr. Marshall?
I don't have his things. He moved them and left a key on the coffee table. And he also moved in on the 25th.
So you have none of his property?
None.
Were you out of your home when he moved out?
Yes, I was in Catalina.
On what date did you move out, Mr. O'Brien?
March 31st.
He was not at home.
He was home. Violently lashed out at me, saying he was going to kill me, saying that I better get out of town, that I could have gotten out of there unscathed. I have a recording of all of this.
I'd like to see the police report.
Okay.
All this says is on March 31st, spoke to the informant, that was you, who stated he and his landlord were in a 415. I don't know what that means. Landlord accused informant of being a drug addict following a heroin overdose at the residence. Landlord now wants informant out of the residence. Informant states he is in the process of moving and will be out by tomorrow, and it's marked civil matter. Okay, now what you're going to show me is another police report. This doesn't help you in any way.
Well, can I explain something, please, Your Honor?
About what?
About the whole situation.
All I want to know is about your stuff and your security deposit of $850, which Mr. Marshall did not return to you.
Okay. So, because of his violent attack that morning, I called the police because I felt threatened. I grabbed a bunch of my belongings. I left. I went to a motel. I got a hotel. I asked my friend Gaia later to go back to the residence and retrieve the rest of my belongings. He wasn't there. He wasn't answering. And after everything that had happened and his nature...
And this was March 31st?
Yes. I let it go a day. I contacted him on Saturday, April 2nd. He said he's in Catalina Island. He says that he shipped my stuff at one point. He said he had my stuff. I have text messages saying this. And I also have text messages saying he would give me back my security deposit.
Okay. I want you to show me the before and after pictures of what you claim the damage was to the house.
I have everything right here. And then I have pictures of the replacement items. I was real conservative with everything.
I don't know what in the world. I know that this is a door.
Yeah, he separated the courtyard door.
I don't know what this is. I don't know what this is. I don't know what this is.
It's a really nice wooden courtyard door that he ruined.
When do you allege that he ruined this door?
In the midst of bringing in all kinds of people, slamming it, going in and out. I also have a 2-year-old daughter that I was concerned with. I found heroin embedded in the marble in my bathroom 2 days after this whole episode.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Want justice? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
Okay, you have to return the security deposit. What items do you claim that you left behind?
Okay, my TV, a lot of my clothing.
Just a second. Your TV, what kind of TV?
It was a Samsung Smart TV.
Where's his TV?
I don't have his TV, he moved it.
$250.
About $250.
What else?
My 4G hotspot, my Verizon Jetpack. I paid $200 for that. That was at the residence.
What else?
Clothing, all the jeans, shirts, nice shirts. I had no clothing with me.
Well, you should have taken clothing to the motel.
I took a little bit. I took my work clothes.
Okay.
But I really wanted to get out of there that morning. I did not want to spend any more time. He needed to cool off.
The only thing I'm going to hear about your counterclaim, I've already heard the property damage part, and I don't believe it, is tools taken without permission. Who took your tools?
His friends, and he admitted that, and he was going to pay me initially $100 for that.
You know about that?
I don't know if they actually did take the tools. I just wanted to keep the peace. $100 is okay. I just wanted...
Is that what you told him? That you
I did. I said, take $100 off the security deposit.
And then he never paid for any utilities. It was clearly stated in the lease that utilities...
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,150. I've given you the $100 credit for the tools. We're done. Thank you.
Excuse me, step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
A tiff between cousins gets personal.
Why would she want to pay the phone bill when you're cavorting around with her ex-husband?
In the middle of that divorce, she had already moved in with him.
Next Judge Judy.
It's my mistake. I didn't do my due diligence. He definitely deceived me.
I was simply trying to move out, get my security deposit and my things, be done with him, move on.
Gurgling and yelling.
I tried it that one night with my friends. I was super drunk. I overdosed right away.
I forced his friends to take him to the hospital.
I'm never doing that again. That was awful.
Tough lesson to learn. Learned my lesson for sure.
That was the most miserable month of my life.
$750 was the security deposit.
Correct.
That's what you thought.
Yes.
That's not what he thought.
Landlord-tenant confusion comes to a head.
I went back out there and said, I have no check. He's like, you're out of here.
And move-out day wasn't much better.
You came back to get property, and you went in through a window.
That was what we were asked to do, to move all the stuff out through the window. I just thought he was forcing me to do it that way because he was being a jerk.
Judge Judy. You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Scheindlin. This is Judge Judy. Justin Woodster-Chill is suing his ex-landlord, Paul Castle, for the return of rent and an unlawful eviction.
Order. All rise. Versus Castle.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated.
Did you find the room that you rented from the defendant online?
Yes, I did on Craigslist.
Okay. And this was in the beginning of March?
Correct.
And you liked it. And the rent for the room was $750?
Yes.
A month. And you decided you wanted the room. He wanted a deposit for the room. And you paid him $750 with the understanding that you would start to move your things in March 15th. Is that right?
Correct.
And did you start to move your things in on March 15th?
Yes, I moved them in March 15th or probably a couple days after that.
So, effective March 15th, you were in effect living there.
Yes.
If your things are there, you're there.
Correct.
So, March 15th, and you've paid $750. Now, the beginning of April, you decide to move in yourself.
It was actually April 5th that I moved in myself. I kind of told him that it was going to be the first or second week of April.
So April 5th, you moved in, and you wanted rent the day he moved in.
His dates are all off.
Did he pay you in March?
What he did in March...
Just a second. Did he pay you money
Yes, he did.
in March? Did he pay you $750
Yes, he
in
did.
March? Did he start moving his things in March?
I permitted that, yes.
I didn't ask you whether you permitted it. He started
moved
to
some
move
stuff
this
in, yeah.
If his stuff is there, on or about April 5th, you asked for rent.
No, that's not...
Tell me what you asked him for when he moved in.
On April 1st.
On April 1st.
Not the 5th.
Fine. On 4/1, what did you tell him?
I asked him for the rent for 3 hours.
Just a second. You asked him for the rent for what month?
For the month of April.
Okay. So this is what our problem is. Mr. Wichtel thought that he was giving you rent from March 15th to April 15th. That's what you thought.
Correct.
And Mr. Castle says, his mind, that $750 was the security deposit. You owed him rent starting April 1st. That $750 he was going to hold. Is that what you thought?
Absolutely correct.
That's what you thought?
Yes.
That's not what he thought.
Yes, he did. He knew that.
Don't tell me what he knew. You can't testify as to what somebody else knows.
I have the proof.
You can't testify,
Okay.
Mr. Castle.
Okay.
I'm telling you what the law is. You can't tell me what he knew. You may have evidence to support your position, which I will see. But when I read these papers, it was clear to me that the plaintiff thought he had paid you rent from March 15th to April 15th. And when he moved his body in the beginning of April, you said, where's April 15th? You said, no, you're not. And you evicted him. That's what this case is about. Now I'm going to look at what evidence that you have to suggest that what you took from him in March was security deposit and not rent. That's what I'm going to look at now. Just hand it to Bird.
Okay,
Hand
what
the
can I tell you what it is?
Hand the evidence to Bird.
Top player. That's the receipt that he got when he gave me the $750.
Do you have your copy of a receipt for $750?
You know what? I don't have it. I tried to find it.
Of course not.
Just that.
Just a second. Listen to me. What you wrote here is not evidence.
I wrote it in front of him.
What you wrote here is not evidence. Now, this is a very, very simple matter. You don't have a written lease, do you?
No.
Am I correct that you do not have a written lease?
That's correct. 30 days.
Am I correct that you do not have a written lease?
Yes.
Now, had you moved in by April 1st all of your stuff?
No.
Did you ever move all of your things into the room?
No.
Tell me what happened when you tried to move in on the 5th of April.
So on the 5th of April, I came by, let Kent know that I had everything good with the condo and that I was free to sleep there. I was finally getting, and I went to sleep and actually forgot to turn off the light, of all things. He was kind of a little bit upset with that, and I said, I'm sorry, that just shows you how tired I was, in the morning, and I went off to work. We had an arrangement for that day for me to come back at 2 o'clock and take some photos of a car that he had. So I did this as a favor, took off 2 hours of work. Sorry I'm going into detail with that, but it just kind of ties it together.
This is a total lie, Your Honor.
I don't want to hear you yet.
Okay.
Go ahead.
The reason that I mentioned that was the first time after that he mentioned, look, you gave me this check. It says deposit and rent on it for $750. We both know this is for a full month, but what I want you to do is I want you to pay on the 1st of the month. So in order for that to work, you need to pay me the prorated half month from March 15th till March 31st. Okay, so that's $375, half of $750, and then you need to give me a $300 deposit. So I said, $675. Is that okay if I give this to you tomorrow? Yes, we agreed. So I went back to work. I worked, I went to my storage, I came back at 10 o'clock. He said, where's the check? I said, I don't have the check. I have all my checks still in my storage. You told me, and we agreed that tomorrow is fine. No, I want it in 10 minutes. Well, I don't have any checks, you know, and I went and looked kind of just, you know, desperately through all my stuff to try to hope that I had one check. I didn't have one there. So I went back out there and said, I have no check. He's like, well, then you're out of here. And I said, what do you mean I'm out of here? I'm not leaving. He said, well, I'm free to go with him in the morning, which the police report states, to go to the bank. Let's go to the bank in the morning. Let's settle this in the morning. It's 10:30 at night. The storage is closed.
On what date?
This is on the 6th.
Go ahead. Continue.
So, second day, you know, I'd slept there one night. This is the second night. I'm hoping to stay there.
Got it. And the police were called. He called the police and...
So when the police came out, it was actually... Can I backtrack just for 1 second?
Do you have the report, the police report?
Yeah, it's right
I'd
here.
like to take a look at it.
There you go. So right before the... Sorry.
Could I see that, please?
Mm-hmm. Would you show this to Mr. Castle, please?
Thank you. I tried to get a copy of a police
Just a
report,
second.
Your Honor.
I showed it to you.
Yeah, I know. I tried to get one. They said there wasn't any.
There's no question now, sir. You're satisfied that this is a police report? He did not create this document.
That's a police report.
Of course. So you left on the 6th.
Yes.
And what you're asking for is damages for unlawful eviction and for reimbursement of the $750 that you paid him in rent. And in total, you want $3,000. And Mr. Castle wants $1,200 money. I want to hear, interestingly, just about the window. You came back to get property, and according to you, when you couldn't get in the normal route, which is via a front door, you came with some friends, and you went in through a window.
Sure.
That's either a yes or a no.
No.
You didn't go through a window.
No, that was what we were asked to do, to move all the stuff out through the window.
Who asked you to move it out through a window?
Mr. Castle did.
Just a second. Explain that to me.
On the 7th, I went and got a moving truck. We had agreed with the police that I was going to get there. He calls me 30 minutes before we agreed. 11 o'clock is what I told the police. I'll be there at 11 because I have a doctor's appointment at 10:15. So we show up there at his house, and he said, you're not stepping foot until the police get here. So they did that. As soon as they came, I got out to start getting stuff, and he said, you're not stepping foot in my house. He said, you need to move everything out through the window. And I said, well, I didn't bring anything in through the window. What do you mean? So we talked, and we kind of had this little, okay, we'll try to take as much through the window as we can, because he didn't want his carpets or something to go bad. And I got some pictures. I mean, that was the one part that he didn't clean, was his own carpet. So I didn't see that, but I did know he had a couple of things in there. I wasn't sure his motive for it, but I just thought he was forcing me to do it that way because he was being a jerk. I don't know. It just seemed like a big hassle. Why would you move anything out through a window if you didn't bring it in through the window?
Tell me, were you at home when he came in? Well, according to you, he damaged the window, moving property.
Yes, he did. He damaged... I have to explain that to you.
We're going to do this my way, because I'm in charge.
Yeah, that's
I'm
fine.
in charge in my playpen. Were you at home when he moved his stuff out or in through the window? Were you at home?
Can I explain?
No, first you're going to tell me whether you were at home.
No, I was at home all the time. He never moved anything in or out through the window.
Well, then I would like you to tell me what your counterclaim is, Mr. Castle, because in your counterclaim, if I'm not wrong, when plaintiff removed his property from my house, he broke my window, causing $200 worth of damage.
That's it.
That's what you wrote.
That's a misprint.
So he didn't break a window.
Yes, he did. Here it is.
Do you want to tell me how you say he broke the window?
He came over on the 11th, which is what my receipt book shows for him giving me money. And he came back around the 15th, and he started to clean. This is in March. So he didn't like the Venetian blinds, so he said, let's clean these Venetian blinds. They're too dirty for me. So we took them out. I took one down. He took one down. We took them out to the backyard. We hosed them down, cleaned them up. I took the one that went into the one room and put it in without any damage. He took the one and put it in what he uses as his living room. This isn't, and he stuck, here's the pictures. You can see where...
Just tell me what happened, sir.
Well, when he tried to put the Venetian blinds back up, he poked it with the corner of Venetian blinds and poked a hole in it. since then, with the 2 earthquakes that we had, the cracks are much bigger.
I don't care.
Okay.
His story was better, actually. If you went along with his story, I may have had sympathy for you. If you told him, here are the Venetian blinds, you hose down one, I'll hose down one, you put one in, I'll put one in. These are things that you're supposed to take care of. If you put it in and if there was any damage, that's your problem.
I couldn't see it.
Listen.
He didn't tell me about it.
Mr. Castle, let's understand something, sir. I started off this case by saying there was clearly a misunderstanding as to what the $750 was. I don't understand you, and I don't understand why you called the police.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Later today.
You don't get behind the wheel of a car and drive when you're drunk.
She was just as drunk as I was, so I took the chance.
You don't drive drunk because you could have killed the man in the other car, and you were lucky you didn't.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Justin Woodsterchill says ex-landlord Paul Castle unlawfully evicted him. Paul is countersuing for unpaid rent.
Me as a landlord, somebody's renting a room from you, you wouldn't call the police because you know him for less than a month. In less than a month, he's given you $750. The rent was $750 a month. So whether he views it as security or you view it as rent or security and he views it as rent, I wouldn't have picked up the phone to call the police. I would not have picked up the phone to call the police and say he's trying to scam me because he's not paying me rent on time. I wouldn't have. In any event, he didn't get his $750 worth. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $750. Your counterclaim's dismissed. We're done.
Please are excused. You may step out.
What he planned to do was spend the night there, establish a residence, and then live there for 8 months to a year without paying rent.
One too many drama shows, a little bit paranoid.
And he wouldn't leave. I spent 3 hours trying to get him out.
The truth, yeah, sometimes there's 3 sides to the story.
He gave me every excuse in the book. There was an earthquake, there was a pothole.
As you can tell with him, he has one opinion.
There was a fire, the dog ate my homework.
For one, I was honest, I went and took pictures of his house, I cleaned it, it was filthy.
Everything you can think of, this millennial came up with.
I thought of him like maybe I was doing a service to help him out because he needed the help.
And he wouldn't give me the money.
And I still think he does, you know?
He's looking to get a free ride just like the rest of them are.
But I wish him the best in whatever, and...
All parties in the matter of Grego versus Shaw. Step forward.
Jennifer Grego is suing her former friend, William Shaw, for wrecking her car when he drove it drunk.
Miss Grego, what was your relationship with Mr. Shaw?
He's a friend of mine from the past.
A dating friend or a social friend?
A social friend.
Tell me about the evening that you went out together in your car.
I had called Mr. Shaw up and asked him if he can come with me to a friend's house of mine to play some cards.
On what night was that?
February 6th. And during the time, it's like Super Bowl year around that time. So it's like a couple of parties go on around that time.
So you invited him to a party?
It wasn't a party going on. It was a card game we was playing.
Now, Mr. Shaw, on the 6th of February, when it came time to leave, both you and Miss Greco had been drinking, correct?
Yes.
And you drove?
Yes, I did.
And you had an accident?
Yes.
And Miss Greco wants you to take care of all of the expenses relative to that incident because you were driving drunk.
Yes.
And you say that, Mr. Shaw, that it was actually Miss Greco's fault because she was so sick that she was going to throw up in the car and you pulled over, but when you pulled over, because it was so quick and you were trying to jerk her back into the car because she opened the door, that she opened the door, that the accident was caused.
Continues in a moment.
You know you're not supposed to get behind the wheel of a car if you're drunk.
Well, she had asked me to drive, and I was wanting to get out of here because she had got rowdy. And she asked me...
You're 51 years old. If I said to you, I want you to put your hands above your head and do a pirouette, would you do that?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Jennifer Grego says former friend William Shaw wrecked her car while he was driving drunk.
Now, I'd like to see the police report.
Sure. From my knowledge, Mr. Shaw was not drinking, as far as I know.
Yeah, we were drinking all day together. She knew I was drunk when she asked me to drive.
Let me ask you, how old are you?
51.
51 years old. And you were drinking all day.
Yeah,
That's what you just said. You were drinking all day.
So she knew I was drunk and been drinking.
Don't tell me what she knew. I only care about what you knew. Do you have a driver's license?
Not now.
Did you then?
Yes.
Was your driver's license suspended for DUI?
Yes.
Then, you know you're not supposed to get behind the wheel of a car if you're drunk.
Well, she had asked me to drive, and I was wanting to get out of there because she had got rowdy, and they wanted out of there, so she came in and said, let's
That's
go.
a lie. Just a second. Don't speak. Don't speak until I'm looking at you and asking you a question.
Sure.
You understand?
Yep.
So when I came outside, she was over. She said goodbye to a friend and said, you go ahead and drive. But I just wanted to get out of there. It was cold. I didn't want to be there anymore. And, she asked me...
You're 51 years old. If I said to you, I want you to put your hand above your head and do a pirouette, would you do that in front of 10 million people?
Well, if I was drunk, probably.
Then you don't get behind the wheel of a car if you're drinking. Now, what kind of a car did you have?
I have a 2004 BMW 525i.
When did you purchase it?
2014.
In whose name is the car?
Mine. I have the title.
Who did you purchase it from?
A stranger in the street. I bought it off Craigslist.
Who paid for it?
Me and my boyfriend.
How much?
$5,000.
You still live with the same boyfriend?
He passed away in November. That's the only thing we had left me.
Did your boyfriend have any other car?
No.
Did you have another car?
Yes.
What kind of car did you have?
I had a Honda 98, but it wasn't on the road.
So the only car that your boyfriend was driving was the BMW?
Yes, me and him was driving it. But he already had passed away after all of this. So the car was left to me. It was under my name.
Now, you were in an accident with another car.
Yeah, hit a fire hydrant.
Okay.
I got distracted, like I said before.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Want justice? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow.
No. I have pictures of the vehicle. I have a letter from the insurance stating that he's full responsible for my vehicle.
I'd like to see it.
I have a ticket for the fire hydrant.
Okay. I'd like to see the damage to the car, please.
I also have the estimates of 2 different estimates of the vehicle.
I'd like to see the estimates.
Those are the estimates. I got a ticket for the fire hydrant.
Would you look up the value, please, of a 2004 BMW 525i?
I have the blue book also.
Look.
$6,425.
This is your problem, Mr. Shaw. You don't get behind the wheel of a car and drive when you're drunk. You just don't do it. I don't care who tells you to do it. You're a 51-year-old man.
Well, Your Honor, but I just want to get out of there, and you weren't welcome there no more, and she was getting belligerent, and we had to get out of there. So I didn't want to stay out there in the cold and the snow, I just wanted to get out of there. And she was just as drunk as I was, so I took the chance.
You're a liar.
You don't get behind the wheel of a car and drive drunk because you could have killed the man in the other car, and you were lucky you didn't. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $5,000. We're done.
May step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
So you give him the $1,000 and you were having second thoughts. When did you sell the car?
2 days after.
That means that you sold a $2,500 car for $3,500. That's pretty good.
Judge Judy.
We was just hanging out, playing some cards, but I got a little too drunk.
They would talk about how she was getting kind of rowdy and had to go.
He was originally my designated driver.
Don't really remember that much after that. We got drunk. I know she had to go. We wanted to go. Just wanted to get out of there.
I didn't know that he was drinking at all. If I would have known that.
I just know not to hang out with him like that no more.
Then I would definitely not to let him use my car.
Just don't drink and drive.
Don't let nobody drink and drive, especially your car.
Did you pay for your phone?
No.
Well, then why should she?
Her cousin is blamed for destroying her credit.
She never said.
For ruining her life.
Why would she want to pay the phone bill when you're cavorting around with her ex-husband?
In the middle of that divorce, they started seeing each other. She had already moved in with him.
Judge Judy.
You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Scheindlin. This is Judge Judy.
Akila Walk Anderson is suing her cousin, Angelica Hardy, and her ex-husband, Thomas Anderson, for a phone bill and damaged credit.
Order. All rise.
Yeah, it's case number 94 on the calendar in the matter of Walk Anderson versus Hardy Anderson.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
Miss Anderson, this used to be your husband, is that right?
Yes.
How long were you married?
Almost 15 years. Or a little 12.
In what year were you married?
July 14th, 2001.
And in what year were you divorced?
9/16/2015.
Is that correct?
Yes, but it took a year and a half for the divorce to...
Okay. You have children together?
2.
How old are they?
13 and 9.
This young woman is your cousin?
Yes, she is.
And who is this lady?
This is my best friend, Deborah.
Your lawsuit is relatively simple. 14, your cousin, Miss Hardy, asked you to co-sign for a phone for her.
Yes.
A cell phone. You did that?
Yes.
And she was supposed to pay the bill.
Yes.
She did not. Several years later, the matter went into collections. It has done some damage to your credit. And it is your claim that your former husband, with whom Miss Hardy is now in a relationship,
yes,
somehow gave the credit bureau your social security number so that she was no longer responsible for this phone at all, and the phone was yours. Well, that's sort of interesting. I don't know how you're going to prove that, but that's your problem. Miss Hardy says that she was never supposed to pay for the phone, that at the time the phone was purchased, she was taking care of your 2 children. And the reason that the phone was purchased, reading between the lines, was that so that you could keep in touch with her. She has a counterclaim for harassment. Okay, let's start out with the phone. Can I see the paperwork when the phone was purchased?
Yes.
And for how much?
That'll be for my phone and her phone for the same, very same.
Just a second. So you bought 2 phones?
There'll be 2 phones, yes, because it was on my plan.
You bought 2 phones. How much was your phone?
Our phones are approximately $775.
Each phone was $7. That's not my question. Was each phone $775, or if you bought one, you got one?
Both phones are $775.
How old are you, Miss Hardy?
25.
And you, Miss Anderson?
40.
When you went with your cousin to purchase this phone, you were 23.
Yes.
What kind of work were you doing?
I worked with mentally disabled adults.
And you didn't have a phone?
No.
So you had a full-time job. Now tell me about why you told me in here that she bought you a phone.
She did.
Well, tell me.
Well, I was living at her house for about 2 months.
From when to when were you living at her house?
From May till about July.
Of 2014?
Yes.
What were you living in her house for?
Because I needed to be closer to work because my car broke down.
So?
So the agreement was I watch her children and I can get on her phone plan, added on to like a family plan. Okay. She never said I had to pay for the phone.
Well, who did you think was going to pay for the phone? The phone fairy? Huh? Who did you think was going to pay for the phone?
I thought she was in return of me watching her children.
Well, you only stayed there 8 weeks, and you had a full-time job. How often did you watch her children?
Like 3 nights a week.
Where was he?
I don't know.
What do you mean
he
you
was
don't
at
know?
home.
With you? With the children?
No, he lived in separate They lived in separate houses. Yes.
When you were living there?
Miss Anderson, yes.
Do you remember that she lived with you for a couple of months? I'm just asking you, did she live with you for a couple?
She stayed with me off and on. And first of all, she was living with her mother. I was picking her up from her mother's house to take her back and forth to work. She wasn't living with me. Now that, right now, she's fibbing. Because I would get up from my house in my apartment that I lived off on Grove and take her back and forth to work. I was spending my gas, and I was working.
Does that sound familiar to you?
No, Your Honor. I actually...
Well, how did you get to work?
She brought me to work from her house.
So she took you to work?
Yes.
She
Not
took
from
you,
my mother's.
I don't care. She took you to work.
Yes.
And she picked you up from work.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
this phone was $775. How much did you pay for it?
Probably about $200 for the down payment.
There was no down payment.
It was taxes on the phone, and
Right.
I paid for the taxes.
Well, the taxes was $68. That's not $200.
I paid about $200.
Well, then you acknowledge you were supposed to pay for the phone. Why didn't you pay for the rest of the phone? The phone was $775. Why didn't you pay the rest?
She stopped paying the bill, so I didn't...
She stopped paying what bill?
The phone bill itself.
Well, why would she want to pay the phone bill when you're cavorting around with her ex-husband?
This was before... This was way before me and him.
Now it's way before, so there was no phone bill.
I thought she was going to pay it.
Why?
Because I watched her children for her.
No. She thought you were going to take care of the phone because she drove you to and from work.
And I gave her gas to get to and from work.
So what? She's still taking you to and from work. Do you have proof that you paid $200?
No.
Well, if you paid the taxes when you first went and purchased the phone, that was $68. Did you make payments to her for the remainder to bring it up to $200?
No.
Well, what did you do?
I didn't pay anything.
When did she stop making any payments? And what month?
Okay. The month she stopped making payments is when September, because I had no phone. She made all of 3 payments, and the third payment, I paid the majority of it. She gave me all but $50, and then I lost my phone because I worked 1 day a week as a server, 1 day a week. This is how I could take her to work.
You lost your phone. What do you mean you lost your phone?
Meaning they were starting to cut the phone off because I was a server at the time. So I was taking my tips to pay the phone bill. And the phone bill was $245, and I was paying the phone bill.
Can I see the amount that went to collections?
Yes.
Did you ever pay for your phone?
Yes, I paid for my phone, and I was paying my majority.
Just a second. You paid for...
was paying my bill. Yes.
Not your bill. Did you pay for your phone?
No.
Well, then why should she? Then she didn't ruin your credit. You ruined your own credit if you didn't pay $775 for the phone.
I know.
Yeah, good.
I know.
All right, forget it. I don't have to see anything else. We're done with your case. Your case was she didn't pay her $775, and therefore it ruined your credit. You want how much? Let me see how much you want for ruining your credit. $5,000. Okay.
But
so you didn't pay for your own phone. You didn't pay for your own phone or her phone.
But also, I did pay the bill, though. That's the whole point.
I don't care about the bill. We're talking about the phone.
But the phone, I had to pay that bill because...
Ms. Anderson, did you pay for the phone?
Yes, I paid for the phone.
Show me.
I eventually...
Show me.
Here. I'll give you my bank statement.
No, show me that you paid for the phone. $775.
Both phones are paid off. I paid for both phones because they were going to sue. And I paid for both phones.
Purchase authorization, 1124. Is that your Maury attorney?
Yes.
Is that what you're talking about, 1309?
Yes.
Okay, now I want to see the letter that you got from collections to a Maury attorney on these 2 phones.
This is the collection people. I talked to him. When I
paid this bill in a very long time. In December, it was $789, and then in February, it was $2,000.
Because I was going through a divorce, and first of all, I lost my job, and in the middle of that divorce, they started seeing each other. She had already moved in with him. They had been seeing each other while she was trying to move in with me, and he stopped paying me. He was barely paying me anything, I was working 1 day a week.
That's not my business. My question to you is, you have no proof that you paid the $775 for the phone.
No.
Right? And where is the phone?
I gave it back to her, Your Honor.
When?
I would say probably like September of 2014. I left it in her truck.
You left it in her truck?
Yes.
I don't believe you.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Tell me what she said to you that was a threat. To you.
She said, if I don't keep her name out of my mouth, just watch and see what she's going to do.
And later today...
Your problem now, Mr. Du Bois, is you put the car in both names.
Right, because she had the license at the time. But...
Just a second. You have no driver's license?
No, ma'am.
So what are you doing with the car?
Real cases. Walk Anderson says her cousin, Angelica Hardy, and her ex-husband, Thomas Anderson, owe for a phone bill, and damaged credit. The defendants are countersuing for harassment and slander.
Okay, you have a counterclaim.
Yes.
You have 30 seconds to tell me about it.
Well, Your Honor, we are countersuing for harassment because she has showed up to my job and threatened my manager, and my manager advised me
Just a second. Don't tell me she threatened your manager unless your manager is here. Is your manager here?
No.
Not interested. Tell me what she said to you that was a threat. To you.
She said, if I don't keep her name out of my mouth, just watch and see what she's going to do.
What else?
and that's it.
Good. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $775. We're done. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, these are excused. You may step out.
I feel that it was fair.
I'm good.
Oh, I'm sure she'll figure out some other way to get me back into court like a month from now.
I've moved on.
I'm in a relationship with her ex-husband, and I do feel she's hurt by it because at one point in time we were close.
Oh, honey, she been had him. I'm cool. Are you kidding me?
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Reed versus Du Bois. Step forward.
21-year-old Ebony Reed is suing her ex-boyfriend for car, unpaid car payments, and damage caused by bed bugs.
Miss Reed, you and the defendant have 2 children together. How old are they?
2 and 4 months.
This case has 2 parts. You have a claim, he has a counterclaim. You say that there was an argument that he had with you some time ago, maybe last December, and after the argument, he kicked your car. Did you do some damage to her car?
Yes, ma'am.
And it was an old car, 1999 Ford Taurus. Is that right?
Yes.
Well, you said he sort of felt badly that he kicked your car, and it was an old car anyway, so he said, I'm going to get a newer car.
Right.
So he got another car, and he put the down payment on it, your money, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And the car was in your name?
Yes, ma'am. It's in both ours.
Both?
Yeah.
That's a different story. See what you get?
And
Now, it's in both names, and she's driving the car. Then, sometime around Easter time of this year, there was another fight. You had a fight with his mother.
Yeah, a disagreement.
So he broke up with you. That's what it says here. And when he broke up with you, he took the car. Where's the Taurus?
Parked at my dad's house.
Well, why don't you get it?
Because of the car is something wrong with it. The car giving off a carbon dioxide. So it's not safe for the kids, and the car for me, we made it.
He didn't purchase a car for you. He bought it, his money. You're not married. How much money did you put into the car? Car was purchased in what month and year, Mr. Du Bois?
it was purchased $222.
How much did you pay for it?
I put down $750. $750 plus the insurance. I put down for the insurance ended up being $388.
Okay, your first payment was when?
The first payment was, I think, the following month.
March?
Yeah.
How much was the payment?
$360.
Who paid it?
She did.
Other than the $360 payment, did you put any money into this car?
Actually, I paid 2 months after we
You paid 2 months?
Yeah.
Really,
Is that
it's
right?
only one because we was together that 1 month, which the agreement was that she paid. The agreement was flat out that I get the Taurus, you know what I mean? And that way I get back and forth to work. Like I was the only one working. I'm doing everything. I'm paying all the bills. I put all of my money into the house. Like she's suing for stuff that I bought.
Just a second. She's not suing. This is all about the car. You see, but your problem now, Mr. Du Bois, is you put the car in both names.
Right.
Right?
Right, because she had the license at the time, so.
I got it. And you had no license?
No, that's why she was driving, but.
Just a second. You have no driver's license?
No, ma'am.
So what are you doing with the car?
Getting back and forth to work. I'm saying, like.
I don't even want to go there.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
All I can do is tell you this, Mr. Du Bois. You're not supposed to drive a car if you don't have a driver's license.
Do
you understand?
Yes, I understand that.
Okay. And I don't know how you're going to have insurance, and she's responsible. You understand that you're responsible.
Yep.
You have a big problem.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Ebony Reed says ex-boyfriend Barry Du Bois owes for car damage, car payments, and bed bugs. Barry is countersuing for the return of his belongings.
Now, why was your license suspended, Mr. Du Bois?
For driving without him. Yeah, driving without no license. Like I got pulled over in the Taurus, and they said driving on suspended, but I never had no license, which in Illinois, that I had to wait.
Why didn't you ever get a driver's license if you drive?
Because I had been in and out of the justice system, basically. So when I first came home, I got a job and I started working. They told me I had to wait a certain time to pay. It just don't get caught driving.
Where did you get $360 to pay if you weren't working for a car? Are you still working?
Not now. The job that he was supposed to give me that I had, he gave to the lady he lived with now.
Well, I'm certainly not going to give you the car. You have the Taurus. You made $360 worth of payments. I'm going to give you your $360 worth of payments. Now, the second part of this nonsense case has to do with the kids coming back with bed bugs.
Yes.
Well, tell me about that.
After we separated, I still, let him see the kids. He asked for them to come over. And when they came back, my daughter had, like, a whole bunch of bites on her arm. So after I noticed, and while I was laying in the bed, that it was kind of, feeling like bitey, like bites, small bites. So I called him and I told him, y'all have bed bugs.
Did you take care of the problem?
Yeah.
Did you take care of the problem?
Yes, ma'am.
Good, that's what you're supposed to do. I'm not a bed bug expert. I don't know whether they came from your house or his house. You get your car payment back. Now, what property do you claim she has that belongs to you?
She has 2 TVs.
Just a second. When were they purchased?
They was purchased the same month, the 24th.
Of what?
I purchased two flat screen TVs, which I told her she could keep one because I actually threw away her old TV. I said, you could keep one, just give me the rest of my things. You know what I mean? Like my clothes, top, which we both supposed to been job searching. Like she said, I had the job for her, but she wanted to go to Texas. I did not want to go to Texas.
Just a second. Are you paying off these things? Or did you pay for them in cash?
Yes, ma'am. I actually had to get to actually keep paying.
Would you just answer my question? Have you finished paying for these things, or are you still paying?
I'm still paying right now. Like, as far as, like, the car, I'm still paying for, but everything else, I bought flat out.
You bought for cash?
Yes, off my debit, off my card, off my bank card.
Well, then you still...
No, I bought the TVs flat out. I have no payment on them. I have no payment on my weights. I have no payment on my clothes. I only have payment on my car and my loan that I had to take out to keep paying for the car.
Got it. By the way, do you have the title to the car?
No, man, we get the title after the fact that the car is paid off. It's leased.
Okay. I'm not...
Yeah, these are the things that she wanted to do, and I was supposed to only got the tourists.
All I can do is tell you this, Mr. Du Bois. You're not supposed to drive a car if you don't have a driver's license.
That's understandable.
Do you understand?
Yes, I understand that.
Okay. And I don't know how you're going to have insurance, and she's responsible if her name is on the title. If you get into a bad accident, you understand that you're responsible.
Yep.
And you have a big problem.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Want justice? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and...
Yeah.
He's coming to get them.
Okay.
Do you have his clothes?
I sent everything as far as his clothes. I sent that over there.
Just a second.
Okay.
So you don't have any of his clothes?
No.
Do you have the one TV he's talking about? And he said you can keep one.
Yeah.
Shh. He's coming to get it. One flat screen. How big are they? Are they both the same size?
No. One's a 42 and one's a 32.
Which one are you letting her keep?
Whichever one it does.
Which one do you want?
They the same size, 42 inches.
Fine. So he's coming to pick up one.
Okay.
Along with his weights. What about a laptop? Do you have his laptop?
The laptop he bought for me. Everything that he's asking me, he bought for me.
Do you have the laptop?
Yes.
Who paid for it?
He did.
He's picking it up. That takes care of your counterclaim. Within 5 days from today, you're going to pick up one flat screen TV, your laptop, and your weights. You're going to get the $360 back. Do you understand that you put into the car, but he's going to hold that money until he gets his property? Do you understand? Mm-hmm. Perfect. We're done. Thank you.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
A brother's secret road trip.
There's no question her car was damaged. She blames you for it. How did the alcohol get in the car?
Judge Judy.
It really was just ridiculous for us to have to even go through this when I just asked for my things back from the jump.
Everything that he said that he gave me was a gift.
I just hope we can have an understanding to the point where